Nepali Congress begins election process for new leadership through special general convention. Both factions continue efforts to resolve internal disputes. Thousands of young Nepalese turn to election police recruitment, take it as a short-term source of income while being part of nation's democratic process. Traffic week kicks off across Nepal with road safety. Despite celebrations, Nepal remains one of South Asia's deadliest countries for road accidents. At least 770,000 children in Nepal still out of school due to the inability to reduce school dropout rates. Tensions between US and Iran escalate. US advised citizens to leave Iran immediately. Announced 25% tax on Iran's trading partners. And National League football competition organized by ANFA to begin tomorrow. Opening match to see Kake Bihar Youth Club face Friends Club. Good evening, I am April Singlama and this is NTV World Prime Time News coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Across the globe, it's 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in details. The Special General Convention, in fact, of the Nepali Congress has initiated the election process according to the party's own statute. According to Senior Advocate and Election Committee Coordinator Sitaram Kesi, the elections will be held for 1 President, 2 Vice President, 2 General Secretaries, 8 Joint General Secretaries and 121 members. Kesi also provided details of the candidacy fees, which requires 30,000 Nepali rupees for the President, 25,000 for Vice Presidents and General Secretaries, 20,000 for Joint General Secretaries and 10,000 rupees for Central Members. Out of the 4,743 voters in the 14th General Convention of the Nepali Congress, the current number of representatives is 4,635, accounting for those who have passed away or joined other parties. Supporters of the Special General Convention have made it clear that the election process will not be halted unless the establishment faction accepts their convention. Amid escalating internal disputes within Nepali Congress, both sides are attempting to resolve the conflict through dialogue. The first phase of talks aimed at resolving the parties' dispute was held this morning after discussing the issues within their respective groups. The second phase of talks is now set to take place. A meeting of top leaders, including Acting President Purna Bahadur Khadka, is underway at the President's residence in Maharajganj. From the establishment faction, Ramesh Lekhak and Balkrishna Khan are participating, while Badri Pandey and Jeevan Pariyar represent the Shekhar Koirala faction. From the Special General Convention faction, Pradeep Podel, Devraj Chalise, Madhu Acharya and Gururaj Ghimire are taking part. The government is to recommend the President to call the National Assembly session at 11 a.m. on January 18 at Federal Parliament Secretariat, Singhadarbar.
सम्बत 2082 साल माघ 4 गते आइतबारको दिन 11 बजे संघीय संसद सचिवालय सिंहदरबारमा संघीय संसदको राष्ट्रिय अधिवेशन आह्वान हुन सम्माननीय राष्ट्रपति समक्ष सिफारिस गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ।
The Council approved the participation of Election Commissioner Dr. Janaki Kumari Tuladar as an international observer in Myanmar's third phase elections and Minister Dr. Madan Prasad Pariyar at the 49th session of the International Fund for Agricultural Development in Rome.
म्यानमारमा भइरहेको तेस्रो चरणको निर्वाचनमा अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय निर्वाचन पर्यवेक्षकको रूपमा 2082 माघ 9 गतेदेखि 12 गतेसम्म सहभागी हुन माननीय निर्वाचन आयुक्त डाक्टर जानकी कुमारी तुलाधरलाई स्वीकृति प्रदान गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ।
The Council also approved the drafting of a bill on Dalit rights and development and decided on transfers and promotions of several first and second class officers in the Nepal Judicial Service.
दलितको हक अधिकार तथा विकास सम्बन्धी विधेयक तर्जुमा गर्न सिद्धान्त स्वीकृत गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ।
The government has also approved the expansion of land revenue and survey offices in district of Ilam, Solukhumbu, Bazura and Mugu, along with the organizational structure and staffing for these offices.
इलामको फिक्कल, सोलुखुम्बुको सोताङ, बाजुराको कोल्टी र मुगुको रामतडीमा मालपोत कार्यालय तथा नापी कार्यालय स्थापना गर्ने गरी मालपोत कार्यालय र नापी कार्यालयहरूको संगठन संरचना र दरबन्दी तेरिज स्वीकृत गर्ने निर्णय भएको छ।
Various official visits were approved and the Nepalese army will promote 3 major generals to assistant Rati and transfer to others. Now, with jobs scarce and futures uncertain, thousands of young Nepalese are turning to election police recruitment not only as a short-term source of income but also as a chance to safeguard the nation's democratic process. Our colleague Subeksha Rajak brings report.
Thousands of young Nepalese are thronging the district police offices not just for paycheck, but for a role in shaping the nation's democratic future. The recruitment of election police, once known as Myadi Prahari, has drawn an unprecedented wave of applicants, with early data showing that nearly 70% are between the ages of 20 and 35. For many, the short-term role is less about career choice and more about survival in a country where youth unemployment remains stubbornly high.
अब रोजगारकै पनि छैन, बेरोजगार भइएको छ, त्यही कामको लागि यसो पैसा कमाउँ भनेर नयाँ एक्सपिरियन्स हुन्छ भनेर त्यति नै हो।
In the federal capital, Kathmandu alone, 3,310 applicants have filed for 3,854 vacancies. Men make up about 66% of the pool, while women account for 34%. With 2 days still left before the submission deadline, the serpentine queues look never-ending. Superintendent of Police Pawan Kumar Bhattrai expects to intake as many applications as possible.
अब हामीहरू नेपाल सरकारले तोकेको समयमा आसन्न प्रतिनिधि सभाको निर्वाचनको लागि गर्नुपर्ने सुरक्षा तयारी अन्तर्गतको सबैभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण काम निर्वाचन प्रहरीहरूको आवेदन लिने, त्यसपछि छनौट गर्ने, प्रशिक्षण गर्ने क्रममा छौं। योग्यता पुगेका नेपाली नागरिकहरू जो यस पटकको निर्वाचनमा निर्वाचन प्रहरीको रूपमा खटिन चाहनुहुन्छ, उहाँहरू सबैलाई अझै पनि 2-3 दिनको आवेदन भर्ने समय छ र देशमा हुन गइराखेका निर्वाचनमा सुरक्षाकर्मीको रूपमा हामीलाई सहयोग गर्नको लागि जो इच्छुक हुनुहुन्छ आवेदन भर्नको लागि आह्वान गर्दछु।
Applicants, many of them college students or recent graduates, see the 40-day service period as both a financial lifeline and a civic duty. The compensation package of 34,776 rupees, including salary, food, and clothing allowances, offers temporary relief in a tight job market. The government plans to mobilize over 133,000 election police nationwide. Their responsibilities will range from crowd management at the polling stations to safeguarding ballot boxes. As final recruitment lists are published on January 26, thousands of young Nepalis will prepare to trade sneakers for boots. Subeksha Rajak with camera person Mamta Koirala reporting for NTV World.
We'll take a short break here. More news coming up. Welcome back. Traffic Week is almost a ritual celebration in Nepal that lasts for a week with various programs. Cities like Kathmandu, the federal capital, see proactiveness from traffic police personnel on the roads, while programs including blood donations are organized on the sidelines. This year's Traffic Week is in full swing, while Nepal continues to remain among the countries with the highest fatalities on the road in Southeast Asia. Vijeta Bhandari explores the story.
This week, Nepal observes Traffic Safety Week and pauses to talk about safer roads. The traffic police has been observing Traffic Safety Week annually for the past few years. The observance aims at curbing the rising road fatalities, which has become a prime safety concern for both the authorities and the commuters. According to the World Health Organization's data, Nepal's road traffic mortality rate in 2021 was 28 deaths per 100,000 people, one of the highest in South Asia. Men faced far greater risk, 41.5 deaths per 100,000 males compared to 16.4 per 100,000 females. According to the latest data of the Nepal Police, a total of 43,165 vehicles were involved in road traffic accidents across Nepal. Most of them were motorbikes, over 25,000, followed by cars and jeeps, more than 6,600, and nearly 2,000 buses. Rickshaws, tractors, trucks, and tippers were also part of the toll. Of Nepal's 7 provinces, Madhya province recorded the highest impact, 564 deaths and over 12,000 injuries. Lumbini followed with 506 deaths, while Koshi had 418 and Bagmati province 304. The data of the Kathmandu Valley itself is quite alarming. Last year, the Kathmandu Valley alone recorded 190 fatalities and nearly 8,000 injuries from road accidents. By comparison, Madhya province, with 8 districts and a population of around 6 million, had 564 deaths, while the Kathmandu Valley, with just 3 districts and about 3 million people, accounted for 190 deaths. Kathmandu Valley also has almost the same amount of deaths as the entirety of Sudur Pashchim province. To put this into further perspective, New York, a much larger metropolis in both size and population than Kathmandu Valley, has recorded deaths of only 205 by the end of the year 2025. This data compares the figures and speaks of the volume and also the state of traffic management inside the valley. Overall, out of 29,078 recorded road traffic accidents in the country, the biggest killer was overspeeding, responsible for nearly half of all accidents, followed by driver negligence, pedestrian negligence, drink driving, and unlicensed driving. In October 2021, Nepal published its Road Safety Action Plan and is said to be ready for implementation. The information officer at the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport says that the National Road Safety Policy is also now in its final approval stage. Its goal: to cut road deaths and serious injuries from 2021 to 50% by the year 2030 and reach 0 deaths by 2050.
Now, as Nepal observes Traffic Week with rallies, awareness drives, and community programs, the harsh reality of rising road fatalities cannot be ignored. Joining us live today is engineer Kiran Dital. He's the coordinator of Youth for Road Safety Nepal. Welcome, Mr. Dital, to NTV World.
Namaste. Good evening, Aprilaji.
Good evening. Now, so without further ado, what is the relevance of Traffic Safety Week and ritual annual programs in making our roads safer? Do stakeholders like you feel included?
Yeah, this type of traffic week is necessary to create a buzz, especially to make awareness among the people, but it cannot be a final destination. So this is just a start, and we are the sad reality of Nepal is this is the biggest program of Nepal for road safety. So as youth are one of the most affected group from the road crashes, it is the highest number of killers from non-communicable disease, surpassing TB, AIDS, and all the communicable disease. But we are not seeing stakeholders like youth and other society as much as involved as we like. We are rarely consulted, so we are not as involved.
Right. So, Mr. Dhital, the week-long celebration includes programs like blood donation, health checkups. What is their effectiveness, or if not a gimmick?
Like I said, it is necessary, but it's like giving Band-Aid to a cancer patient. It cannot be the only treatment. We have various steps, various strategies needed to be done for this. This is just a gimmick right now, but it's necessary right now.
Okay. So what are the major problems in improving our road safety, and who do you think are the most responsible?
Okay, so road safety consists of 5 pillars: road safety management, safer road and mobility, safer vehicle, road user, and post-crash management. The traffic week, they are responsible for road safety management and somewhat for safe road user. But we have other 3 pillars, and only the 5 pillars. The government, you, I, all the stakeholders are equally important to do that. So let's say for some of the solutions, we have many road safety conventions and laws that we need to pass. They have been present in the legislature, but they have not been implemented. So there are some nice laws that needs to be implemented. Similarly, we have not been able to enact the Road Safety Action Plan and Road Safety Act. They have been discussed, but they have not been in policy. We need to implement that. There needs to be an independent road safety council that manages, oversees, and governs road crashes and its studies. So, and we of course need road safety curriculum. And one of the major problem in Nepal, especially is road crashes in motorcycles. So we need to promote motorcycle safety, double helmet laws, and there need to be guarantees of standard helmet in Nepalese market. So there are a lot of things need to be done. The road safety week is like a start. We need to do a lot more.
Right, right. Thank you for your time, Mr. Dhital.
Thank you for inviting me in such a good way. Thank you, Ms. Lama.
Now, moving on to the bulletin. At least 770,000 children in Nepal are still out of school due to the inability to reduce school dropout rates. The National Statistics Office, NSO, in its thematic report of the 2021 census showed that 10% of children aged 5 to 17 years are not attending school. While the percentage of children enrolling in school is encouraging, the dropout rate after enrollment remains high. The report highlights that the tendency to leave school increases after grade 5, and among children aged 15 to 19 years, 25% are out of school. The NSO identified poverty, disadvantaged economic status, caste, ethnic hierarchy, religion, and marginalized social groups as the main reasons for school dropout. Moving on, Minister for Communications and Information Technology Jagdish Kharel has urged all Nepali citizens to participate in the upcoming elections, noting that the country has entered an election period. Speaking at the launch of ebookingnepal.com in the capital, Minister Kharel also encouraged voters to exercise their discretion and vote wisely. He emphasized that since youth are expected to bring the change Nepal seeks, it is important to carefully select representatives during the elections. We're going for another break here. International update and sports news still to come. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Welcome back. U.S. President Donald J. Trump has said countries doing business with Iran will face a 25% tariff on trade with the U.S. in response to a deadly crackdown on anti-government protests. Trump's national security team is also expected to meet later to discuss intervention options. The U.S. president has already been briefed on a range of military and covert tools his country could use. Human rights groups report a violent crackdown on protesters has resulted deaths of at least 648 people. Meanwhile, Iranian authorities sought to regain control of the streets with mass nationwide rallies. Meanwhile, the United Nations says it is horrified by the mounting violence directed at protesters across Iran amid reports that hundreds have been killed. UN human rights spokesperson Jeremy Lawrence at a press conference in Geneva, the killing of peaceful demonstrators must stop. Adding the violence against them is unacceptable.
We are horrified by the mounting violence directed by security forces at protesters across Iran, as reports indicate hundreds have been killed and thousands arrested. The killing of peaceful demonstrators must stop. The labelling of protesters as terrorists to justify violence against them is unacceptable. We urge the Iranian authorities to halt immediately all forms of violence and repression against peaceful protesters and to restore full access to the internet and telecommunications services.
Now, a Russian drone attack on Ukraine's northeastern city of Kharkiv has killed at least 4 people and wounded 6 just hours after Washington accused Moscow of dangerous and inexplicable escalation of the war, and as a peace deal remains distant. Kharkiv Regional Governor Oleh Sivenyov said the death toll from the attacks on the outskirts of the frequently targeted city just 30 kilometers from the border had risen to 4. The strikes came shortly after the United States accused Russia of escalating the war as U.S. President Donald Trump was pushing hard to bring an end to the conflict. Now, Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has urged South Korean President Lee Jae-myung to deepen cooperation to help ensure regional stability, underscoring the growing strategic importance of bilateral ties amid heightened regional and global uncertainty. Speaking during talks in the historic city of Nara, Takaichi said the security and diplomatic environment facing both countries had become increasingly severe, making closer Japan-South Korea relations more critical than ever. Lee echoed the assessment, warning that the global landscape is entering a period of unusual volatility. The meeting comes as both countries face shared challenges, including North Korea's weapons development, rising geopolitical competition in the Indo-Pacific, and uncertainty stemming from major power rivalries. Now, a high-stakes appeal by far-right French politician Marine Le Pen starts on Tuesday against a ruling that banned her from running for public office for 5 years. Le Pen was found guilty last year of embezzling EU funds, and if the ban is upheld, she will not be able to stand in the 2027 presidential election. She insists she had not committed the slightest irregularity. Ahead of the appeal, the president of her National Rally Party, Jordan Bardella, said barring her from the election would be deeply worrying for democracy. The case at the Paris Court of Appeal will last until 12 February, but a ruling is not expected before the summer, well ahead of next year's presidential vote. Now we'll go for another break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Fresh lava mountains spew from Hawaii's Kilauea Mountain volcano, one of the world's most active volcanoes, in its 40th eruption. The volcano has been very active since 1983 and erupts relatively regularly. Volcanologists say Kilauea's persistent activity provides critical insights into volcanic processes, even as it poses ongoing risks to surrounding communities. Now, the Kurova Belly Pass in Turkey's Antalya has been blanketed in snow, creating picturesque winter scenes at an altitude of 1560 meters. The area, situated at an altitude of 1560 meters, now offers postcard-perfect images. The high parts of the Gombe Plateau has been covered with a white blanket. Snow landscapes emerged around Yumlu Tepe on Akhtar and the surrounding Kurova Belly area. Time for sports update. The National League football competition organized by the All Nepal Football Association (ANFA) is set to begin tomorrow. The opening match will feature Kakre Bihar Youth Club competing against Friends Club at 11 a.m. at the ANFA complex in Saddabato. Likewise, Sri Bhagwati Club will play against Church Boys Club. Both matches will be held at the ANFA complex in Saddabato. The league will feature 17 teams, 13 from the A division and 4 promoted from the ANFA President's League. The league will be played in a single round-robin format with a total of 136 matches. The formal inauguration ceremony of the 2026 National League will take place on Friday, January 16 at Dasrat Stadium with the match between Machindra Club and NRT. All league matches will be held across Dasrat Stadium, Chassel Stadium and the ANFA complex. The winner of the league will receive a cash prize of 5 million Nepali rupees. Now, 4 young female drivers have been selected for a pioneering Formula One development program aimed at producing the sport's first female world champion. Sky Parker, Zoe Florescu-Potelia, Ivan Simeonova and Alexia Danielson are the first recruits in the initiative, which seeks to address the absence of women in top-level motorsport. No woman has competed in Formula One since Italian driver Lela Lombardi in 1976. Organizers say it is a strategic effort to increase female representation in F1, a domain historically dominated by men. Interest in the sport among women has surged in recent years, with female fans and drivers driving increased attention and participation. The development program is seen as a critical step toward breaking long-standing barriers in Formula One. Now, before wrapping up, here's a look into the headlines once again. Nepali Congress begins election process for new leadership through special general convention. Both factions continue efforts to resolve internal disputes. Thousands of young Nepalese turn to election police recruitment, take it as a short-term source of income while being part of nation's democratic process. Traffic Week kicks off across Nepal with road safety programs. Despite celebrations, Nepal remains one of South Asia's deadliest countries for road accidents. At least 770,000 children in Nepal still out of school due to the inability to reduce school dropout rates. Tensions between US and Iran escalate. US advised citizens to leave Iran immediately, announced 25% tax on Iran's trading partners. A National League football competition organized by ANFA to begin tomorrow. Opening match to see Kakre Bihar Youth of face Friends Club. That is all for the moment. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepali time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website at www.nepaltelevision.com. I am April Agisinglama. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling us Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
Ça même richesse qui nous vise à préserver pour continuer à exister. Ça même richesse nous vise à préserver, préserver. Oh, oh.
Mauritius is a small island in the heart of the Indian Ocean, where tourism is a major industry contributing significantly to the GDP of the island. Mauritius is home for 1.2 million of inhabitants, and today the country is targeting 2 million of tourism in the coming years, an economic opportunity as well as an environmental challenge for this tiny land.
Ce que nous faisons au niveau de la Tourism Authority, ça englobe dans la perspective du gouvernement, c'est d'aller vers une destination verte avec une certification reconnue d'ici 2030. Et nous sommes en train de travailler avec tous nos partenaires, avec les stakeholders de cette industrie. En termes d'emploi, donc nous comptons presque 30 000 emplois directs, mais si nous comptons au niveau aussi indirect, nous arrivons vers la barre des 100 000 personnes qui sont liées à ce secteur qui est très prépondérant, mais aussi très importante pour la vie sociale, la vie culturelle de l'île Maurice. Donc il est vrai qu'il faut être prudent dans ce que nous recherchons. Nous ne voulons certainement pas avoir une destination avec une situation de surtourisme qui arrive dans beaucoup de pays, dans beaucoup de destinations, où à ce moment-là, il devient ingérable de pouvoir contrôler un flux où le côté management et le côté destination ne peut soutenir. Donc tout ce qui se fait au niveau du développement, même au niveau du nombre de touristes, on peut avoir les normes très valorisants, 2 millions, 3 millions, 4 millions, mais est-ce que cela va apporter un plus pour la destination? Ce qu'il faut comprendre et ce que nous essayons de passer comme message, c'est que le tourisme doit faire du bien à la destination avant et non pas l'inverse.
The hotel industry is a major player in the tourism sector, with more than 112 hotels around the island, amounting to more than 13,500 rooms. Thus, a sustainable tourism policy will shape the future of the industry.
Pour nous, aujourd'hui, nous créons un mouvement qui s'appelle le Positive Impact. L'idée hier, tout a commencé, Laguna Attitude, le premier hôtel éco-engagé du groupe Attitude. Nous avons envie de positionner ça l'hôtel-là différemment. Pourquoi? Parce que nous sommes très conscients qu'aujourd'hui, si nous ne prenons pas en compte l'environnement, les touristes ne peuvent pas venir dans nos pays. Donc, on va tout dire pour voyage sortir en Europe, pour arriver à Maurice, et ensuite pour tout les déchets, les saletés, partout l'eau, la plage, dans la mer. Donc, nous décidons pour mettre beaucoup de pledges en place, et le plus important pour nous, ça a été d'enlever tout ce qui est plastique à usage unique à la vue de nos clients. Par exemple, aujourd'hui, dans nos bandes la SAM, nous ne pas méditer café d'ici parce qu'il vient dans un sachet plastique à usage unique. Nous venons avec un concept, une boutique en vrac, donc un bulk shop. Les clients rentrent dans le bulk shop, ils ont un petit pot en verre, qui sont capables de remplir de café, de thé, de d'ici. Et nous, en même temps, ce qu'il nous fait en parallèle, nous prenons dans sa pot-là en bulk, nous avons un supplier. Toutes les chambres sont de gagner de l'eau à travers de l'eau chaude, à travers sa solar water panel. Nous offrons de la crème solaire à tous nos clients. Cette crème solaire est fabriquée localement et avec des produits minéraux. Donc si vous servez la crème là ou dans l'océan, il ne pas abîmer le monde marin. Nous avons d'autres actions aussi qui nous font, par exemple dans nos bulk shops, nous avons un filet bleu qui nous donne aux clients. Nous encourageons de prendre ça, de t'attacher ça avec le maillot. Je récupère tous les déchets que je trouvais dans l'océan, ramène-les ici, et ici quand je ramène, qui nous fait? Nous séparons. Donc ce qui est capable de recycler, nous envoyons recycler. Ce qui n'est pas capable d'être recyclé, nous montrons comment nous sommes capables de faire dans nos éco-ateliers, comment nous sommes capables de faire une décoration avec. Donc beaucoup de clients peuvent venir aujourd'hui parce que de plus en plus, surtout en Europe ou même aux États-Unis, en Australie, les pays commencent à prendre de plus en plus d'ampleur d'être éco-engagés.
The hotel takes great pride in investing in a sustainable education and sensitization campaign to raise awareness and commitment from tourists as well as the local population.
Donc, ce centre-là, c'est un centre qui est ouvert au public. Donc, nous accueillons aussi bien les enfants et aussi les clients de l'hôtel. Et donc, qui nous fait dans ce centre-là? Donc, c'est un centre éducatif et interactif. Et nous sensibilise Bandimoun à l'environnement. Donc, nous sensibilisons pour protéger l'environnement marin et l'écosystème côtier également. Nous faisons une action concrète avec le client. Nous sensibilisons nos clients à la préservation de l'environnement. Quelle action il a à faire liée à ce niveau pour qu'après, quand il aussi retourne dans ce pays, il a à continuer sa bonne action-là.
On va quand même d'autres années. C'est vraiment un outil qui nous sert vraiment pour éducatif, pour montrer les participants qui viennent, les visiteurs qui viennent vers nous, comment ils été dehors quand on a fait le snorkeling ou comment nous trouver. Comment tout peut vivre ensemble, en symbiose, les poissons, les corail, comment ils vivent ensemble. Alors imaginez un coup de nous trouver une bouteille plastique qui peut flotter là. Il n'est pas joli. Alors c'est pour ça qu'il nous a vraiment qui garde tout bien propre.
On immerge un hydrophone en bas de l'eau. Un hydrophone, c'est quoi? C'est pour en fait enregistrer le chant des baleines. Donc ce sont les baleines à bosse principalement et ces baleines mâles qui chantaient pendant la période de reproduction pour qu'ils nous gagnent des informations sur les baleines à bosse, sur la reproduction. Et monte base de données d'un individu de tortues marines qui nous mène à Maurice. Donc ce sont des espèces migratrices et ce sont des espèces protégées. Vraiment un centre éducatif parce qu'il nous vient raise awareness avec nos clients pour que les clients prennent conscience de l'environnement et qu'il est important qu'ils viennent dans une île, ils viennent à Maurice, mais nous avons un écosystème riche. Nous avons beaucoup de coraux, nous avons des poissons et qui forment partie, il y a un acteur dans sa mouvement Positive Impact.
The footprint of the tourists on the island will equally influence the ecological path that the industry will choose.
Alors c'est quelque chose qui se développe aussi chez nous. On essaie, nous, à notre domicile, d'être éco-responsable. Et effectivement, quand on va à l'étranger et en voyage comme ça, c'est agréable de trouver un endroit aussi où on retrouve ces valeurs-là, et même plus. Quand on fait des efforts chez nous, on se rend compte qu'à d'autres endroits, donc sur votre île aussi, vous faites aussi beaucoup d'efforts. Et c'est important de montrer ça, et c'est important pour les touristes de respecter ça aussi. Je pense que les touristes, à l'avenir, feront de plus en plus attention aux endroits où ils vont et à la pollution.
To improve the sustainable commitment of the tourism industry, the Tourism Authority in Mauritius has launched on a yearly basis a Sustainable Tourism Award, which highlights and encourages best sustainable practices in all sectors of the industry.
Nous avons démarré le premier Sustainable Tourism Mauritius Awards qui récompense l'effort qui a été fait par ces opérateurs-là justement pour aller dans la direction du tourisme durable. Et je dois dire que ça a été un succès parce que l'année dernière, on a eu 115 participants, démontrer la volonté de presque la majorité des opérateurs touristiques mauriciens d'aller vers cet objectif de tourisme durable. Et je dois aussi préciser que le tourisme durable, ça ne concerne pas uniquement les opérateurs touristiques, ça concerne aussi la population.
Mauritius is aiming to secure a sustainable tourism certification, which will confirm the island's commitment towards sustainability. The first step towards that certification starts in a small village in the south, Belle-Ombre.
Nous voulons que la destination Maurice soit certifiée d'ici 2030, certifiée par la GEST ici, la Global Sustainable Tourism Council. Alors, la région de Belle-Ombre nous sert comme cas pilote, donc pour faire cette certification de la destination, et nous voulons apprendre de Belle-Ombre, de ce qu'ils sont en train de faire de bien.
A sustainable approach in the tourism sector requires a sincere partnership between the various stakeholders, from the major players to the small villagers. Each one should work hand in hand to promote, engage, and also share the benefits derived from the industry.
On reste dans le village Saint-Martin, Belle-Ombre, petit village côtier, pêcheur et laboureur. Actuellement, on a 5 hôtels et beaucoup de monde pour gagner du travail, surtout dans zen. Et donc, des gens qui font des petits entrepreneurs, ça fait ça, bien aide nous. En fait, les bisans win, habitent aussi bisans gagnants dans ces affaires-là. Comment nous apporter dans ces affaires-là, il y a des petits restos, des gens qui font des manger tropical, des petits manger PC. Oui, mais ça marche bien, ça marche bien.
Today, the world is an island, and the sustainable tourism development of one region will, in the long run, share lights of sunshine to one and all.
Nous la casse, nos îles, nous la mer, nous les ciels, la nature qui entoure nous, reflète couleur nous les cœurs, sa même richesse qui nous vise à préserver pour continuer à exister, sa même richesse nous vise à préserver.
Trimmed mustache, mirrored shades, and an unmistakable smile, Tenzing Norgay Sherpa climbs a steep hill in Khumbu. It's May 1991. After 38 years, he's returning to meet his old climbing partner, Sir Edmund Hillary, the man with whom he first stood atop the world.
Tenzing, good to see you. My goodness. Well, yeah. Hi, Vicky. How are you? Nice to meet you. Yeah. Long time. Good to see you. Yes, certainly. Did you have a good walk up?
Very well.
Fine.
Sagarmatha, head of the sky. Chomolungma, the mother goddess of the world, or simply Mount Everest. A mountain with many names. Yet for generations it meant only one thing, the impossible. Since the 1920s, climbers from around the world had tried to conquer it. Many never returned. Avalanches, storms, frostbite, the mountain refused them all. Then on 29 May 1953, Edmund Hillary of New Zealand and Tenzing Norgay Sherpa of Nepal stood together on top of the world. The world woke up to the headline, Everest is conquered.
This is the BBC Home Service. Here is the news. Mount Everest has been conquered by members of the British expedition. The news reached London in a message to the Times. It said that Mr. E.P. Hillary, a New Zealander, and Tenzing Bhutia, a Sherpa, had reached the summit last Friday, May 29th.
Among the 35 men in the team that made history was Kancha Sherpa, the last surviving member of that expedition. He passed away in October 2025. He remembered the climb as hard but joyful.
अनि तेन्जिङहरु तो हेरेर आएर बो माथि नि एभरेस्ट हामीले थाहा पायो नभए हाम्रो गाउँै बा पनि हामीले के जाने कामै छैन गाह्रो भयो मलाई गाह्रो त के जानु नस्याङ्ने के अब कहिले पनि त्यस्तो काम गरेको छैन त्यो पनि त बारे बोकेर त खरबासमा जानु पर्यो यहाँ हातमा डोर समाउनु पर्यो यहाँ आइसँग समाउनु पर्यो यहाँ बारे थुप्रो बोकेर जानु पर्यो अनि त साङ्गुमा जानु पर्यो अनि माथि जुरेर जानु पर्यो अनि गाह्रो त एकदम गाह्रो छ तर यस्तो काम पाएर धेरै खुसी भयो नि
Hillary loved Khumbu and Khumbu loved Hillary. He dedicated his life for the region and its people. In the decades that followed, Everest became a symbol of determination, not just for men, but for everyone who dared to dream. In 1993, Pasang Lamu Sherpa became the first Nepali woman to stand on the summit. Her journey was marked by courage and struggle.
पैसा हुनु पर्यो यसमा आफूले लाखनी गरेर खर्च गर्नु पर्यो रयल्टी तिर्नु पर्यो अब आफूले सँगै लानु गुरुबहरुलाई चाहिँ खानाहरु हुनु पर्यो लुगाहरु किन्नको पैसाहरु हुनु पर्यो त्यसकारणले चाहिँ यो पैसाले नै पैसाकै समस्याले गर्दाखेरि पनि अगाडि बढ्न नसकेको हो तर यहाँ एउटा ट्रेनिङको महिलाहरुलाई चाहिँ यो माउन्टेन ह्याली क्षेत्रमा एउटा ट्रेनिङको व्यवस्था बन्दोबस्त पनि त्यति साह्रो राम्रो छैन.
For some, the climb is a personal test. For others, it's a way to uplift an entire nation. Of the many record holders from Nepal, Apa Sherpa, who's also known as the Super Sherpa, had reached the summit 21 times before announcing his retirement.
म यो रेकर्डको लागि चल्ने भए त
म आज पनि चढ्न सकिन्छ नि तर म रेकर्डको लागि होइन मैले हाम्रो देशको लागि हाम्रो राष्ट्रको लागि माथि पहिले सुरुवातमा त आफ्नो पेसा भनौँ न अब पुरा नै हाम्रो राष्ट्रको लागि भनौँ पहिले सुरुवातमा त आफ्नै पेसाको हो तर त्यो लास्टमा म चढिरह्यो भने त्यो त तपाईँको उस जस्तो देखिन्छ कि कम्पिटिसन जस्तो देखिन्छ कि मलाई त्यो मेरो चाहिँ नि त्यो कम्पिटिसन होइन र म राष्ट्रको लागि हो त्यसैले मैले अब 2011देखि मैले सन्यास लिएर अपसेवा फाउन्डेसन खोलेर शिक्षा सबभन्दा इम्पोर्टेन्ट चाहिँ के छ हाम्रो शिक्षा एजुकेसन छैन भने हामीलाई धेरै गाह्रो छ मैले खैराहरूले पनि भन्दैछु विदाउट एजुकेसन वेपन नो चोइस एजुकेसन इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ त्यसपछि हाम्रो वातावरण त्यसैले हाम्रो नेपालको लागि म त्यो दुईवटालाई जोडेर मैले सपोर्ट गरिरहेको छु
Over time, the story of Everest has changed. Each climbing season now brings not only adventurers, but also income and impact. In 2024, Everest generated nearly 676 million Nepali rupees, almost 80% of Nepal's total mountaineering revenue. The fee for foreign climbers has been revised now to $15,000 each. So far, more than 8,000 summiteers of different nationalities have climbed Mount Everest. Many more aspire to reach the top of the world. To ease the pressure on Everest and promote other regions, the government of Nepal has opened 97 peaks that range from 5,970 meters to 7,123. One can climb these mountains in the Western Karnali and Sudur Pashchim provinces without having to pay royalties. As voices increase for the need of having summited at least one mountain over 7,000 meters in the country before bidding for the Everest, these 97 peaks are likely to be training ground for summiteers. With success, Everest has also seen a heavy burden. In 2023 alone, more than 75 tons of waste were collected from the Everest region. This included plastic, metal, oxygen bottles, and even human waste. The mountain has also been plagued by fatal climbing attempts.
यसपालिको भन्दाखेरि त अब लास्ट इयरको पनि मरेको लासहरू अझै पनि छन् माथि बाटोमै पनि त्यो लासहरू देखे हामीले यो 8,300-400 मिटरमा बाल्कुनीमा त्यो लासहरू पनि अझै भइरहेको छ र फोहोरहरू पनि सजकल पनि टन्नै फोहोरहरू छ पहिला हामीले अब शहरमा त आरबी संघले पनि 2011 मा सफा त गर्यो त्यत्रो फोहोर ल्याए 10 टन फोहोर पनि धेरै नै ल्याएको त्यतिखेर त्यति ल्याउँदा पनि अझै फोहोरहरू चाहिँ एकदमै छ भनौं न टाइममा अब राज्यले चाहिँ किन त्यसलाई चाहिँ अलिकति व्यवस्थापन के अब कुन हिसाबले हुन्छ त्यो फोहोरलाई अलिकति तल ल्याएर अलिकति सफा गरे भने एभरेस्टको लागि अलिकति विदेशीहरुको लागि अलि राम्रो होला कि भन्ने चाहिँ हामीलाई लागेको छ.
Sagarmatha has taught the world to dream higher, but now she asks us to care deeper. The greatest climb perhaps isn't upward, but inward. "70 years since the first ascent, much has changed, but one thing has and will remain constant. Everest has and will continue to stand tall and keep challenging human abilities."
Less than 4 years remain until 2030. That's the deadline for sustainable development goals set by countries worldwide. Governments, scientists and communities have committed to ambitious targets, from limiting global temperature rise under the Paris Agreement to protecting at least 30% of Earth's land and oceans under global biodiversity framework. But despite these commitments, data suggests that we are far from where we need to be. Protected areas cover only a fraction of the target. Funding gaps are measured in hundreds of billions each year, and nature-based solutions remain dramatically underfunded. On today's episode of Insight, we are speaking on this matter with Dr. Maheshwar Dhakal, Joint Secretary in Nepal government. He holds a PhD in environmental science and currently leads the climate change division. Dr. Dhakal, welcome to NTV World Insight.
Thank you very much.
The data that I could access, the latest one that I could access, showed that only about 17.6% of terrestrial areas and 8.5% of oceans are protected. That is far below the 30% target by 2030. Do you think this gap is large? And if so, what does it mean for biodiversity and climate resilience worldwide?
You are very much clear that the 30% target by 2030 is a very ambitious target. Let's compare in two levels, at a global level and our country context. In the beginning, in 2010, when COP10 was decided, 2020 targets in Aichi in Japan, at that time the target what we set, we means all the parties of CBT conventions, but unfortunately none of the parties they achieved the targets. But on the other hand, if you compare to Nepal, already Nepal has 23% of the port area coverage, right? But when this result was discussed in 2015, it's called Kunming-Montreal Biodiversity Framework, which is the 15th COP in Canada, and international communities they agreed again to reach the level of 30-30 target, but with some flexible mechanisms. It's called OECD, other environmental conservation measure. It's the very flexible modality, unlike the port area and wildlife reserve or hunting reserves. It's together with the local communities and with assurance of the rights of the local communities. Different mechanism we proposed, and government of Nepal also agreed to that mechanism. And we already initiated one strategy regarding to the OECD. If you compare more specifically, we do have a couple of areas where we have to conserve it. For example, I would like to give the very visible example is Godavari forest area, which is very intact in terms of biodiversity conservation, but yet to be decided none of the port area systems. And government of Nepal, particularly our Ministry of Forest and Environment, we declare is the conservation forest is the one of the mechanism under the forest law. There are a couple of areas across the country in Nepal. If you go eastern region, the Tinjure Milke Jaljalli, the Laligruas area is one of the best area to declare another port area. And at the same time, if you go to the Panchase, is interconnected with Sengja, Kanski and Parvat. And similarly, if you go to the more lowland, the Dhankhola area, Kopilpastu, Dang and Argakhachi. And at the same time, Jogbuda and some of the Limi Valley in the high mountains region in Humla. These are the some areas we can declare it's a special category of the port area management. In your questions, if you compare to Nepal, Nepal is pretty comfortable positions to reach that target. But if you compare to the global scales, then definitely there are some still challenges, because the very short answer and very quick point is most of the developed countries and some developing countries, they are not very much encouraging or motivating to declare new port area system, but at the same time for public consumptions they used to speak in the public forum, but at country levels they are not very much interested. That is the situation. just 4 years is remaining to reach to this target, right? But if we adopt, we means all the parties, convention parties adopted the OECM mechanism, then I am hopeful that the global community can reach the target.
When we talk of climate change and biodiversity, we often treat them as separate issues. Is this one crisis or two?
You mean the climate change and biodiversity?
Yes. Yeah. Even with UN, there are separate conferences.
I think, it's very nice question. If you go by 1992, when Rio Convention was held in Brazil, at that time 3 conventions were declared at the same time, at the same place. They are the climate change, biodiversity and desertifications. But if you go through the process of implementations, then climate change is implementing more aggressively. Sometimes the part of climate justice is coming very prominently, and forefront agenda is considered by many communities. On the other hand, biodiversity parties also looks very nice, because most of the countries, they are doing their best job. But desertification, maybe very few countries are highly impacted from the desertification. That's why this convention is discussed very little in the international arena. But in my opinion, these 3 conventions are interconnected and interrelated each other to save the environment and protect the planet. They are interconnected.
Now, countries have been part of frameworks like the Paris Agreement and also Global Biodiversity Framework. Many countries, including Nepal, have also declared nationally determined contributions, NDCs. But are we on track to achieve all the targets in the document, or are these just symbolic steps?
I think, as I am leading the climate change division, then definitely we are very much committed, and we are working to achieve those targets which we set in the NDC. But at the same time, it is really hard if we do not secure the sufficient funding resources. That's why if you go through our NDC, we are giving the 2 types of targets. One is the conditional one, and another is unconditional one. Unconditional one, definitely we will achieve, because our resources, our capacity and our policy, all supporting factors, enabling environments we will create. But on the other hand, the conditional one is we are asking to the international community that Nepal is a landlocked, developing, mountainous country, and we are emitted very little carbon emissions, but we are affected most. That's why we need support from the international community to build our adaptation capacity. That's why most of the target, particularly energy target, the hydropower and other clean energy targets, we are expecting some support from the international community to achieve those targets. Because the reason behind this, Nepal, we do not have petroleum products and fossil fuels. Our production we do not have, right? But on the other hand, we are importing those resources. We would like to promote the clean energy and replace the fossil fuels and contribute the global carbon emission reduction process. But on the other hand, clean energy will create the multiple jobs and opportunities to our communities. Even our target is to sell those energy to our neighbor countries and to support them as well.
The US government back in 2015 as well, and after the latest takeover by US President Donald Trump, withdrew from the Paris Agreement. Do you think steps like these influence the global effort towards building resilience towards climate change and our climate activities?
I think it's a very diplomatic one, but it is the internal matter of United States. If you ask to me, it's officially, but at the same time, United States is the major partner and pillar to the international process. And I do hope that sooner or later the United States will be with the process. But many people and many communities, many countries, they are doubt how the future discourse, debate, and the pathway of the climate change and biodiversity will go. It's really unclear and questionable, and we have to wait sometimes.
You also mentioned just now about the funding gap that we have in implementing our NDC targets, achieving the NDC targets, in fact. And the global recent analysis suggests that we're spending trillions in global economy that is against nature, while our climate actions and climate activities are only worth around billions of dollars. So there's a huge gap in there. What do you think needs to change in how global finance is aligned to truly support conservation and climate goals?
Yeah, definitely. While we are talking about the climate finance or biodiversity finance, basically we discuss our negotiations based on the two parameters. The one is need base, how much amount of money is expected in the NDC and adaptation plan, including the biodiversity NVSAP, National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, those national policy documents. On the other hand, the science recommendation. Particularly in climate change, IPCC recommends how much money it needs and to implement those activities. On the other hand, IPBES is the recommendation for the biodiversity conservations. You are rightly pointed out that we need a huge amount of money to implement and to achieve those NDC targets and biodiversity targets, but the global communities are not in the position to support by providing funding resources. This is the big challenges. That's why our negotiation process, and we are discussing with the developed countries that if you see the last 200 years, most of the developed countries, they enjoy with the natural resources and they develop their infrastructure, and with the recent all the development facilities or commodities, whatever used by the developed countries, and they benefited a lot. But unfortunately, most of the developing countries are impacted from the climate change or biodiversity loss or even air pollution. That's why this is a part of justice. Then how do we developing countries, and particularly like-minded countries including Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, even India and China, how we unite each other and claim the climate finance, and also convince to the developed countries to pledge as much as money that we need. That's why we need a very collective and very collaborative approach. If you remember, last year we organized Sagarmatha Samvad, and it's a coincidence that I was the member secretary for the Sagarmatha Samvad as well, right? And our understanding and our conclusion is, unless and until if we do not promote a regional approach, particularly for South Asia, then we cannot achieve the sufficient resource funding. That's why global and the regional partnership approach we have to develop to secure sufficient funding resources. But if you are talking if global scale, then definitely all the developing countries, including least developed country like Nepal and SIDS, small island developing countries, we have to discuss together, and we have to develop our science strong enough as we need, because without very sufficient information, sufficient science, then simply asking money for climate justice, no one is going to pledge. That's why we have to develop our capacity in terms of science, in terms of evidence, and then we have to claim. Otherwise, it's really impossible to get those huge resources that we need.
Mountain agenda has been on the table during COPs from countries like Nepal and small island nations as well. How is the progress been so far? Have we made strides when it comes to locking these resources that we're talking about?
Yes, definitely. This year, we organized Sagarmatha Samvad. This year means last year. And the conclusion of the Sagarmatha Samvad was very much clear, and we are asking to the international community, if you save the mountains, then you can save the downstream communities. Or if you do not save or do not protect the mountains, then definitely the downstream communities will face the climate-induced disasters, including landslides, floods, and inundations, and so on. Mountain agenda is really important for us. Is we are the leading country, not only at the Mountain Everest, the whole country is a mountainous country. And this time in COP30, we discuss, we negotiate, and we coordinated all the like-minded countries and similar organizations, even experts, and even head of the institutions. And finally, the COP30 is decided to hold a global dialogue on mountain and climate change in coming June in Bonn, Germany, and Nepal is also preparing on it. We do have a very clear two agenda on this mountain part. One is we are asking the international community to recognize mountain is the separate agenda to the UNFCCC negotiation process, so that we can discuss a couple of issues under the mountain agenda: local communities, indigenous people, our culture, and then nature-based tourism, medicinal plants, forest, biodiversity, everything. So we can discuss over the mountain agenda. And then second, what we are asking to the international community is the lives and livelihoods of the mountainous communities is really very difficult, and the livelihood is, the hardship of the livelihood is really different and unique in the mountainous countries like Nepal, and therefore we need to discuss every year as an annual dialogue. Sometimes we do not like to exaggerate, unnecessarily exaggerate about the mountains, but what is reality in the ground, you have to understand. That part we are going to discuss and negotiate to the international communities, and hopefully in coming June we will discuss, but at the same time we have to convince to all international communities together, because it's the global phenomena. Sometimes the personally or individual country can put their agenda, but how and whether you can convince to the international communities or not, that is really important.
When you mention of the impacts of climate change, when you talk about livelihoods and culture, there is a clear dissection that we tend to evaluate more about the tangible impacts of climate change and not the intangible, maybe. Do you think the two are weighed equally?
Most of the climate change negotiator, and even including myself in the past, we discuss about half of the negotiations. So what I used to say, carbon emission, glacier melting, glove, and all the cascading effects in the downstreams. This is the one part. But on the other hand, most of the mountainous countries, and particularly Nepalese mountainous countries, they protect the forest and biodiversity, and they preserve the glacier in the top of the mountain, right? As a result, you are getting the fresh water, and huge amount of carbon is sink in the mountains, and they have huge contributions to protect the planet and regulate the climate. That's why they have to be compensated through mechanism of environmental services, or you can say simply the innovative financial mechanism. That's why what we are asking to the international communities is, if we do not support or compensate to the mountainous communities, otherwise they are not going to protect those forests and biodiversity, and many, not only many, billions of the people in the downstream, they are going to face the water security problem.
Now, as we talk about climate injustice, countries like Nepal are least polluter but are the most impacted. From a global justice perspective, what do you think must change in the international system to ensure effective conservation and climate action?
Yes, being Nepal is the less emitter and the most impacted country, is a part of climate justice. Then we have to ask to the international communities to support us or to build our capacity to cope those crises, or build the adaptation capacity. Even nowadays what we are discussing about the loss and damage under the climate change framework, we need additional finance, and we have to increase our access over the advanced technology, and we also need some capacity building activities, including those people who are living far from the city center and really impacted in the ground, including children, youth, even women, senior citizens. Even nowadays, if you go to the remote areas of Nepal, most of the senior citizens, they are the most affected. That's why we need a climate justice for them and to make their ability or capacity to cope those climate crises.
You've been part of many COPs on behalf of Nepal government. What is the mood in the room like? Do you think developed countries are committed to helping countries like ours?
Yeah, if you ask me very honestly, the present international geopolitics is rapidly and drastically changing, and then it's very difficult to predict what will be happen tomorrow. But I'm pretty confident that sooner or later the developed countries should be responsible, because they are the reason behind this crisis.
Ecosystems, species migrations and climate impacts transcend national borders, of course. In your observation, what global or regional cooperation mechanisms have been most promising, and where do you see gaps that need urgent attention?
I think there are two parts in your questions. If you are asking me about the biodiversity and the migration of the wild species, including wildlife, this is the one part. But on the other hand, because of the climate change and biodiversity loss, the human migrations is also taking place so rapidly. Even nowadays, people are migrating from rural area to city areas, and city areas to capital areas, and capital areas to international, right? That's why what we are asking to the policymaker or politician is develop the city planning and the climate change adaptation capacity of the local communities to provide maximum climate change adaptation activities to them. But migration is nowadays is so rapidly taking place. That's why it's very difficult to manage it, because other externalities also coming together. That's why we have to think more comprehensive and more integrated approach so that we can retain our youth to the rural area or city areas. But climate resilient city planning is the most to retain those communities. But at the same time, we have to seek for maximum and multiple employment and job opportunities to the youth. Otherwise, it's really hard to make the stable community and stable society.
Now, Nepal has seen a substantial and very encouraging forest cover rise, which is around 46% of its land. And we also maintain roughly 23% of the territory as protected areas. Do you see this conservation model particularly as an example that the world can learn from?
Yes, definitely we are in the right direction, but we have to departure now. Because in the beginning, if you see 1970s, our conservation modality was started through the wilderness theory. Means keep intact the ecosystems and do not damage or do not hamper anymore. But later on, what we realize is state-led one-side conservations or intact of the ecosystem is not enough unless local communities are integrated with the system. That we realize. That's why we introduce participatory approach, both in community forestry and then buffer zone based participatory approach. But from the last 30 to 40 years experience, we protected our forests so well, including with local communities and with a very good participation. Even the women and youth and every segment of the society we incorporated with the system. But unfortunately, we do not make a very clear plan what we will do next once the forest is protected or preserved, right? And in my expert view, this is the right time to welcome, to integrate the private sectors and harvest forest as a renewable natural resources and create more enabling environment to the private sector and process the maximum and multiple goods and services based on the forest and biodiversity enterprises and sell to the market, even not only the Nepalese one, even beyond international markets, and earn maximum foreign exchange and create job and opportunities. These are the good opportunities. That's why in summary, we are in the right directions, but this is the time to capitalize, to monetize our resources.
The prospect that you just mentioned about creating job opportunities and economic growth by utilizing our forest resources, do you think our existing policies facilitate that?
Yes, of course, our policies are supporting, but sometimes I am also observing that not enough as private sector is expecting. That's why simplify the process and very clear mechanism is expected by the private sector. I think it's a time to revisit our policy together with private sector and experts from the conservation sides. Ultimately, to make our country prosperous is our responsibility. That's why conservation or protection of the forest and development are not a blaming games, and it's a trade-off, and we have to sit together and find the win-win approach that both conservation and development can together parallelly and respect each other. This is the way what I'm thinking here.
Dr. Dhaka, lastly, what for you would be a successful global conservation and climate architecture look like by 2030, as we also are reaching a deadline for SDGs?
Yes, not only SDGs, even there are a couple of other targets also going to finish by 2030. Unfortunately, the international politics looks a little bit unstable at this moment. That's why it is really hard to say more quantitatively. But at the same time, the global communities with very, very advanced science, the human activities are becoming more efficient and more comfortable, because nowadays each and every information you can take from anywhere of the planet, of the world. That's why this is the opportunity. But at the same time, sincere and disciplined society is really looking very challengeable. This morning I read one paper that this is the time to redefine the international geopolitics. That's why coming 4 years really challenging for me as a policymaker of the developing countries. Just I have an option to be hopeful and do our best as much as possible to contribute the process. But it's really hard to achieve those targets by 2030.
Thank you so much for being on NTV World Insight.
Thank you very much.
Well, climate and conservation progress looks uneven at present. However, inspiring examples from around the world, including Nepal, we hope show that change is possible through collaboration. We hope today's conversation adds to the global discourse on turning ambition into tangible impact, ensuring that future generations inherit a planet that is resilient, thriving, and full of life. Thank you for staying with us here on NTV World Insight. Until next time.
जानकी मन्दिर महर्षि जनकको पुण्य भूमि, माता जानकीको पवित्र जन्मस्थल। देश विदेशमा परिचित जनकपुर धाम मध्य प्रदेशको मात्र नभई अन्तर्राष्ट्रिय स्तरमै प्रख्यात पवित्र भूमि। सबैको पूजनीय ठाउँ जनकपुर धाम। महेन्द्र राजमार्गको ढल्केबरबाट करिब 21 किलोमिटर दक्षिण लागेपछि शहीद गेट हुँदै रामानन्द चोक पुग्न सकिन्छ। जनकपुरको ठूलो प्रवेशद्वार रामानन्द प्रवेशद्वार। 4वटा ठूलो पिलरमा बनाइएको रामानन्द प्रवेशद्वारको माथि स्वामी रामानन्दको प्रतिमा छ। यो प्रवेशद्वारलाई जनकपुरवासीले जनकपुरको गौरव समेत मान्ने गरेका छन्। रामानन्द चोकबाट करिब 1 किलोमिटर पूर्व गएपछि मिथिलाञ्चलवासीको सांस्कृतिक धरोहर जानकी मन्दिर पुग्न सकिन्छ। मध्य प्रदेशको राजधानी जनकपुरमा अवस्थित यो मन्दिर नेपालमा भएका मन्दिरहरूमध्ये क्षेत्रफलका आधारमा सबैभन्दा ठूलो मन्दिर हो। मन्दिर निर्माणको 125 वर्ष जति मात्र भए पनि यसमा स्थापित राम जानकीको प्रतिमा भने झण्डै 700 वर्ष पुरानो भएको संस्कृतिविदहरूको भनाइ छ।
20औं शताब्दीको प्रारम्भमा भनौं त्यति बेला एकजना मध्य प्रदेशकै ओर्छा स्टेट छ, त्यहाँ त्यसको राजधानी टिकमगढ छ। त्यहाँकी रानीले आएर अहिलेको जानकी मन्दिरको जुन ढाँचा अहिले देखिएको छ, जो देशमा सबैभन्दा ठुलो ढाँचा मन्दिरको रूपमा एउटा छ, त्यो राजस्थानी शैली र मुगल शैली दुईटीको मिश्रित रूपमा यहाँ बनाइदिएको हो त्यो मन्दिर। त्यसपछि यहाँ विकास भएको हो।
विक्रम सम्वत 1968 सालमा निर्माण सम्पन्न भएको यो मन्दिर धार्मिक र सांस्कृतिक हिसाबले सम्पन्न मैथिली सभ्यताको धरोहर हो। पवित्र हिन्दू धर्मस्थलको रूपमा चिनिने जानकी मन्दिर मुगल शैलीमा निर्माण गरिएको छ। पाँच 500 वर्ष पुरानो इतिहास बोकेको यो मन्दिर 4860 वर्ग फिटमा फैलिएको छ भने 50 फिट अग्लो रहेको छ। नेपालको ख्याति प्राप्त यो मन्दिरलाई कलाको उत्कृष्ट नमुना मान्न सकिन्छ। प्राचीन मिथिलाको राजधानी जनकपुरमा अवस्थित जानकी मन्दिर विश्वभरका हिन्दूहरूको आस्थाको केन्द्रबिन्दु हो। यो मन्दिर भारत मध्य प्रदेश स्थित टिकमगढकी राजकुमारी वृषभानुकुमारीले 9 लाख चाँदीका असर्फी खर्च गरेर निर्माण गरिएको हो भन्ने किम्वदन्ती छ। त्यसैले यो मन्दिरलाई 9 लाखा मन्दिर पनि भन्ने गरिन्छ।
खर्चमा 9 लाख रुपियाँ खर्च भएको थियो। त्यो बेलाको शासनमा 1910 तिरको 9 लाख भन्दाखेरि त अहिले त अर्बौं खर्बौंमा जान्छ। अनि त्यो खर्च भएको हुनाले यसलाई 9 लाख भनिएको हो कि भन्ने बुझिन्छ।
प्राचीन मिथिला हिन्दू तथा मुस्लिम कलाको समुचित समायोजनबाट निर्मित जानकी मन्दिर कलाकृतिले समेत भरिपूर्ण ठाउँ हो। सीताको जन्मभूमि र राम सीताको विवाह भएको पुण्यभूमि भएकाले पनि यो ठाउँ सबैको आस्थाको केन्द्र बनेको छ।
सीतामढ़ी से हम लोग जनकपुर धाम पर आए हैं। माँ जानकी का यह पालन स्थल है, जन्म स्थल पुनौरा भूमि हुआ। वहाँ से राजा जनक जी पुनौरा धाम से माँ जानकी को यहाँ अपने दरबार में अपना यहाँ उनका साम्राज्य था, उस साम्राज्य में अपना यहाँ उनका लालन पालन हुआ है और काफ़ी धार्मिक आस्था है। जगत जननी माँ सीता का यह लालन पालन का स्थल है और हम लोग इसी आस्था से माँ जानकी के आशीर्वाद लेने हेतु यहाँ पर पहुँचे हुए।
धार्मिक तथा सांस्कृतिक रूपमा सम्पन्न यो मन्दिर मिथिलाञ्चलवासीको सांस्कृतिक धरोहरको रूपमा रहेको छ। मैथिली सभ्यताको प्रतीकको रूपमा रहेको यो मन्दिरमा श्रद्धा एवं निष्ठापूर्वक पूजाआजा गरे मनको शान्ति मिल्नुका साथै मनोकामना पूरा हुने जनविश्वास छ।
यहाँ पे हम जानते हैं कि सीता माता का जन्म स्थान है यहाँ पे, तो हम यहाँ हम राम और कृष्णा दोनों एक मानते हैं। तो हम राम जी के बारे में और जानकी के बारे में ज़्यादा जानना चाहते हैं, जानकी माता के बारे में, इसीलिए यहाँ है, उनका जन्म स्थान देखना चाहते हैं।
यहाँ आएपछि त भित्री आत्मादेखि असाध्य खुसी लाग्छ क्या। जति जे हाम्रो मनभित्र हुन्छ नि, बाहिर कतै हुँदाखेरि हामीभित्र जुन मनमा चलिरहेको हुन्छ नि, यहाँ आएपछि त बेग्लै महसुस भइरहेको हुन्छ क्या, त्यस्तो हुन्छ।
ऐतिहासिक, धार्मिक तथा पर्यटकीय क्षेत्रको रूपमा रहेको यो मन्दिरभित्र पर्यटकलाई लोभ्याउने कलाकृति र सौन्दर्यताकै कारण यहाँ देश विदेशबाट हजारौंको संख्यामा दर्शनार्थीहरूको भीड़ लाग्ने गर्दछ। यहाँको कला कौशलताले सजी सजाऊ मन्दिरसँगै वरिपरि रहेको हरियाली वातावरणले पर्यटकहरूलाई थप आकर्षित गर्नुका साथै ऊर्जा समेत प्रदान गर्ने गर्दछ।
बहुत दिनों की इच्छा थी कि मैं माता के स्थान पे आऊं, है ना, और आने का मुझे सौभाग्य हुआ और मुझे बहुत ही दिल से खुशी हो रही है कि मुझे इनका दर्शन हुआ। और जिस तरह से यहाँ पे संरक्षण किया गया है, इससे मुझे बहुत ही संतुष्टि हो रही है और सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और मैं भगवान का आभार प्रकट करती हूँ कि मुझे दर्शन का सौभाग्य मिला।
जानकी मन्दिर छेउमा रहेको भगवान सीतारामको विवाह मण्डप स्थल, जानकी मन्दिरको उत्तरतर्फ रहेको राम जानकी विवाह मण्डप जनकपुर धामको अर्को धार्मिक एवं दर्शनीय स्थल हो। श्री राम जानकी विवाह मण्डपको चारैतिर पारदर्शी सीसा लगाइएकाले वरिपरि रहेका सम्पूर्ण देवताहरूको दर्शन बाहिरबाटै गर्न सकिन्छ। सीतारामका भव्य मूर्तिहरू मध्यभागमा देवीका मूर्तिहरू राखिएका छन्। गर्भ मण्डपभित्र कलात्मक स्तम्भहरू छन्। यी स्तम्भहरूमा विभिन्न देवी देवताहरूका चार वटाका दरले मूर्तिहरू जोडेर राखिएका छन्। मण्डपको माथि शिरमा रहेको गजुरले यसको रौनकतालाई अझै बढाएको छ। यहाँ विवाह पञ्चमीमा भारत अयोध्याबाट लाखौं मानिसहरू जन्ती बनेर आउने गर्दछन्। जानकी मन्दिर, राम मन्दिर लगायतका मठ मन्दिरहरूबाट बाजागाजा सहित निस्किने झाँकी नगरको विभिन्न भागको परिक्रमा गर्दै ऐतिहासिक रंगभूमि 12 बिघा मैदानमा पुगी राम र जानकीको स्वयंवर हुने गर्दछ। विवाह पञ्चमीको अवसरमा जानकी मन्दिर, राम मन्दिर, जनक मन्दिर, विवाह मण्डप, शिव मन्दिर लगायतका मठ मन्दिरहरूमा बिहानैदेखि साधु सन्त, भक्तजन र दर्शनार्थीहरूको घुइँचो लाग्ने गर्दछ। विवाह पञ्चमी मेला भर्न नेपालका विभिन्न स्थानका साथै भारतबाट समेत भक्तजनहरू जनकपुर धाम आउने गर्दछन्।
विवाह पञ्चमी यहाँको सबभन्दा ठुलो महत्त्वपूर्ण पर्व हो। उसमा चाहिँ बढी भिड हुन्छ, सबैतिरबाट मान्छे आउँछ, अयोध्याबाट जयन्ती आउँछ, लोकल मान्छेको पनि भिड हुन्छ। विवाह पञ्चमी ठुलो मेला हुन्छ यहाँको। हुन त सबै महिनामा छ, अब यो साउनमा यो असारको पूर्णिमा गुरु पूजा हुन्छ, उसमा पनि लाग्छ। श्रावणमा झुला हुन्छ नि, हरियाली तीज भन्छ, झुल्ने प्रक्रिया छ, त्यो पनि हुन्छ। भदौमा चाहिँ जन्माष्टमी हुन्छ, यस्तै आश्विनमा दुर्गा पूजा, कार्तिकमा अन्नकुट दिवालीहरू हुन्छ। अनि फेरि मङ्सिरमा बिहा पञ्चमी हुन्छ, यसो फाल्गुनमा परिक्रमा हुन्छ 15 दिनको, चैतमा रामनवमी हुन्छ, वैशाखमा जानकी नवमी हुन्छ। सबै महिनामा केही न केही पर्व भइरहन्छ।
जनकपुर धामको पौराणिकतालाई दर्शाउने मणिमण्डप। भगवान राम र माता सीताको विवाह भएको स्थलको रूपमा ख्याति प्राप्त मणिमण्डप पुरातात्विक दृष्टिले अति नै प्राचीन मानिन्छ। यो मण्डपले मिथिला सभ्यताको प्राचीनतालाई समेत दर्शाउँदछ।
यो तपाईको त्रेता युगमा जुन समयमा भगवान रामको बिहे भएको थियो नि, त्यो बेलाको यो मण्डप हो। या यो भूमि छ नि, जुन माटो छ नि, हाम्रो पूर्वजले यो माटोलाई नै पूजा गरेको थियो पहिला। अहिले तपाईको त्यो बाँसको झोपडी बनाएर पूजा गर्दै आइरहेको थियो। त्यसपछि यो तपाईको 2007 मा इन्डियाको डेटमा जयपुरको आन्सर यो बनायो।
जनकपुरबाट करिब 17 किलोमिटर उत्तरमा धनुषा धाम रहेको छ। राजा जनकले आफ्नी छोरी सीताका लागि आयोजना गरेको स्वयम्वरमा भगवान रामले तोडेको शिवजीको धनुषको 3 टुक्रा मध्ये 1 टुक्रा यही झरेको थियो भन्ने मान्यता छ। यही स्थानमा अहिले धनुष मन्दिर समेत रहेको छ। जानकी मन्दिर दर्शन गर्ने जो कोही धनुषा धाम पुग्ने गर्दछन्। जानकी मन्दिर पुग्ने भक्तजनहरूले धनुषा धामको दर्शन नगरे दर्शन पूरा नहुने महन्तहरू बताउनुहुन्छ।
सीता र रामजीको बीचमा एउटा जुन वैवाहिक बन्धन भएछ, त्यसको प्रतीक रूपमा त्यो धनुष हो। त्यो स्वयं भगवानको हातबाट भाँचिएको र स्वयं परशुराम पनि एउटा भगवानको अवतारले चाहिँ त्यो धनुष, शिवजीको धनुष जनकले दिएको हुनाले त्यसको महात्म्य हेर्ने हो भने रामेश्वरम चाहिँ पछि स्थापना गर्नुभएछ भगवान रामले। त्यो धनुष चाहिँ आफ्नो हातबाट त्योभन्दा पहिला स्थापना गर्नुभएको हुनाले त्यो पनि एउटा दर्शनको ठुलो महत्त्वपूर्ण स्थान हो धनुषा धाम। र त्यो राम र सीताको बीचको एउटा प्रतीक रूपमा त्यो धनुष मानिन्छ। र जनकपुर आउने दर्शनार्थीलाई यदि धनुषको दर्शन भएन भने पूर्ण दर्शन हुँदैन, अधुरो दर्शन हुन्छ।
त्रेताकालीन इतिहास बोकेको जनकपुरको धनुष सागर। 3 टुक्रा भएको शिवजीको धनुष मध्ये 1 टुक्रा पातालमा गएको थियो भन्ने किम्वदन्ती अनुसार सोही स्थानमा पोखरीको आकार लिएको मान्यता छ। आज सोही स्थानलाई धनुष सागरको नामले चिन्ने गरिन्छ। जानकी मन्दिरको छेउमा रहेको राम मन्दिर। जानकी मन्दिर पुग्ने जो कोही राम मन्दिर पुग्ने गर्दछन्। जानकी मन्दिरको निर्माण भन्दा पहिले नै निर्मित यो मन्दिरको निर्माण प्यागोडा शैलीमा गरिएको छ। राम मन्दिरलाई झट्ट हेर्दा पशुपतिनाथ मन्दिरको झल्को आउँछ। राम मन्दिरमा पञ्चायन मूर्ति, लक्ष्मी नारायण, विष्णु अवतारको मूर्ति, अन्य देवी देवताको नित्य पूजा अर्चना गर्ने गरिन्छ। मन्दिरमा रहेका ती मूर्तिहरू चतुर्भुज गिरीले फेला पारेका थिए। तिनै सन्तले पछि मन्दिरमै रहेको बरको रुखमुनि मूर्तिहरू राखेर पूजा सुरु गरेका थिए भन्ने भनाइ छ।
यहाँ सुरकिशोर दास आएका थिए, उनकै समकालीन एउटा अर्को सन्यासी चतुर्भुज गिरी पनि आएका थिए भनिन्छ। उनी जोशी मठका उनी त्यहाँका सन्यासी थिए, शङ्कराचार्यका शिष्य थिए उनी। अनि उनी पनि मिथिला खोज्दै जनकपुर आएका थिए। यहाँ बस्दाखेरि एउटा भनाइ के छ भने उनी यहाँ आउँदाखेरि अहिले जहाँ राम मन्दिर छ त्यो राम मन्दिरकै ठाउँमा एउटा रुखमुनि बसेका थिए। उनीलाई स्वप्न भयो अरे, त्यो भनाइ छ एउटा किंवदन्ती जस्तो। उनले त्यहाँ खन्दाखेरि त्यहाँबाट मूर्तिहरू फेला पारे, लक्ष्मीनारायणका मूर्तिहरू अहिले पनि त्यहाँ लक्ष्मीनारायणका मूर्तिहरू त्यहाँ छ त्यहाँ, र अहिले राम मन्दिरका भएका मूर्तिहरू पनि छन्। तुलना गर्न त्यसपछि त्यहाँ एउटा मठ उनले पनि बनाएका थिए, त्यहाँ सुरुमा ऊ थियो भनिन्छ। अहिले जुन देखिन्छ नि त्यो ऐतिहासिक तथ्यहरूले के भन्छन् भने यो चौथो ढाँचा हो जो अहिले देखिएको हो। त्यहाँ सुरुमा एउटा मठ जस्तो रह्यो होला, पछि त्यसलाई मकवानी राजाहरूले पनि ढाँचा त्यहाँ खडा गरिदिए त्यहाँ मन्दिरहरू। त्यो तुलना गर्न भनेपछि जानकी मन्दिर अलि भारतीय उसँग बढी नजिक देखिन्थ्यो भनेपछि राम मन्दिरका जुन सन्यासीहरू त्यहाँ अहिले पनि त्यहाँ गिरी नै हुन्छ। त्यहाँ दुईटा फरक के छ भने यो जानकी मन्दिर वैष्णवी मठ हो, रामानन्दीहरूको मठ हो, अनि त्यो सन्यासीहरूको मठ हो।
जनकपुर धामका पुराना मन्दिरहरूमध्ये लक्ष्मण मन्दिर पनि एउटा हो। यो मन्दिर जानकी मन्दिर अगाडिको विशाल प्राङ्गणको उत्तर पूर्वमा पर्दछ। यस मन्दिरमा मुख्य रूपमा भगवान सीताराम, लक्ष्मण र लवकुशका धातुका मूर्तिहरू राखेर पूजा आजा गरिन्छ। राजा जनककै नामले प्रख्यात नगरी जनकपुर धाममा रहेको जनक मन्दिर प्राचीनताको अर्को नमुना हो। यो मन्दिर धनुष सागरको उत्तर पश्चिम डिलमा अवस्थित छ। गंगा सागरको डिलमा शिव मन्दिर रहेको छ। शिवरात्रि लगायतका पर्वहरूमा मन्दिरमा ठूलै संख्यामा दर्शनार्थीहरूको घुइँचो लाग्ने गर्दछ। गंगा सागरको उत्तर पश्चिम तथा शिवचोकमा रहेको यो मन्दिरको निर्माण 2038 सालमा गरिएको हो। यो मन्दिरको निर्माण भने शिखर शैलीमा गरिएको छ। जानकी मन्दिरमा बिहान 7 बजे र बेलुका 8 बजे आरती हुने गर्दछ। संगीतमय यो आरती हेर्नका लागि श्रद्धालुहरूको भीड नै लाग्ने गर्दछ। बिहानको पूजा पाठ होस् वा दिउँसोको रामायण पाठ अथवा भजन कीर्तनदेखि साँझको आरतीसम्म यहाँ भक्तजनहरूको भीड लाग्ने गर्दछ। यसले जानकी मन्दिर प्रतिको आस्था र विश्वासलाई समेत झल्काउने गर्दछ।
आस्था ठुलो छ यो क्षेत्रमा। जनकपुरको विकासको क्रममा हेर्ने हो भने यो दुईटा मन्दिर सम्भवतः नभएको भए जनकपुर मेटिन्थ्यो अथवा स्थापित हुने थिएन। किनभने धेरै प्राचीन पश्चिमी विद्वानहरू जसले अनुसन्धान गरेका छ जनकपुरको बारेमा, उनीहरू पनि भनाइ के छ भने जनकपुर धेरैचोटि बसिसकेका छ, धेरैचोटि उजाड भइसकेका छ। यसको इतिहास त्यही भन्छ। तर यो दुईटा मन्दिरले गर्दाखेरि यहाँ के भयो भने विभिन्न कुटीहरूको स्थापना पनि भयो, जाति कुटीहरूको स्थापना भयो। विभिन्न जातले आफ्नो आफ्नो कुटीहरूको स्थापना गरे, गाउँ घरमा बसेका थियो, तर कुटीको स्थापना जनकपुरमा गरे। किनभने जनकपुरमा आएर पुण्य कमाउनु छ।
दिउँसो 12 बजेदेखि 4 बजेसम्म भने गर्भगृहको ढोका बन्द रहन्छ। गर्भगृह पछाडि सांस्कृतिक संग्रहालय रहेको छ। यो संग्रहालयले यहाँ आउने जो कोहीको मन लोभ्याउने गर्दछ। यो संग्रहालयले हलेश्वरी महायज्ञ भएर सीता फेला परेदेखि सीतारामको विवाह भएसम्मको झझल्को दिलाउने गर्दछ। जानकी मन्दिरमा हुने महन्तको कुनै पनि व्यक्तिगत व्यवहार, कुल, परिवार नहुने यो वैष्णव धर्मको परम्पराले सञ्चालन भइरहेको छ। वैराग्य परम्पराले चल्ने यो मन्दिरको हालको पुजारी महन्त राम तपेश्वर दास हुनुहुन्छ।
महन्तको 2, 4, 10, 20टा चेला हुन्छ। त्यो चेला मध्ये चाहिँ यहाँको नगर समाज, यहाँको महन्तजी होइन, जसलाई लायक सम्झिन्छ उसलाई चाहिँ बनाउँछ। मरेपछि उसलाई दाह क्रिया गर्छ। त्यसपछि यहाँको समाज उसैलाई महन्त बनाइदिन्छ अनि गुठ स्थान उसैलाई समर्थन दिइदिन्छ। यही परम्परा छ अहिलेसम्म।
छोटगुठीको रूपमा रहेको यो ऐतिहासिक मन्दिर भेटीबाट सञ्चालन हुने गर्दछ। छोटगुठी भएकै कारणले 3 तहकै सरकारसँगैका कुनै पनि गुठी संस्थानले यसमा लगानी गरेको छैन। 12 महिनामा 12वटा पर्व, विवाह पञ्चमी, सार्वजनिक विवाह हुनुका साथै जानकी मन्दिरको हातभित्र दैनिक जसो अखण्ड रामायण पाठ, अखण्ड कीर्तन लगायतका कार्यक्रम हुने यस मन्दिरको व्यवस्थापन समेत दान दातव्यबाट सञ्चालन भइरहेको छ।
यो जानकी मन्दिर चाहिँ छुटगुठी अन्तर्गत पर्छ। अनि गुठी स्थान र हाम्रो जुन लाल मोहर छ नि त्यसमा लेखेको छ यसको जुन सम्पत्ति छ, यसको जुन साधन स्रोत छ, यसैबाट चाहिँ यसलाई सञ्चालन गर्ने भएन भन्ने महन्जी स्वयं यसको व्यवस्था गर्ने।
ऐतिहासिक रूपले महत्त्वपूर्ण सांस्कृतिक धरोहर मानिने जानकी मन्दिर धार्मिक हिसाबले नेपाल र भारत दुवै देशका हिन्दू धर्मावलम्बीहरूको सेतु पनि हो। मध्य प्रदेश सरकारले हिन्दू धर्मावलम्बीहरूको पवित्र र प्रख्यात तीर्थस्थल जानकी मन्दिरलाई विश्व सम्पदा सूचीमा सूचीकृत गर्नका लागि आफ्नो 2081-82 को नीति तथा कार्यक्रममा समावेश समेत गरिसकेको छ। धार्मिक पर्यटनमा अथाह सम्भावना बोकेको जानकी मन्दिर लगायतका ऐतिहासिक धरोहरहरूले हाम्रो संस्कृति र परिचय झल्काउँदछ।
U.S. President Donald Trump has announced a 25% tariff on any country trading with Iran amid Tehran's violent crackdown on a wave of protests. Trump also said this order is final and conclusive. China, Iran's largest trading partner, says it will take all necessary measures to safeguard its legitimate rights and interests. Iran, already under heavy U.S. sanctions, exports much of its wealth to China, with Turkey, Iraq, the United Arab Emirates, and India among its top trading partners. A violent crackdown on a wave of protests in Iran has killed at least 648 people, a rights group has said. Meanwhile, Iranian authorities sought to regain control of the streets with mass nationwide rallies. The government's call for rallies in support of the Islamic Republic drew thousands on Monday, a turnout Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei held as proof that protest, which the authorities attribute to foreign interference, has been defeated. Iran's nationwide protests are said to be driven by a deepening economic crisis. Years of Western sanctions over its nuclear program, coupled with domestic corruption and financial mismanagement by the state, have hollowed out the country's economy. While Iran has said it is open to talks, Washington remains adamant that Tehran must stop uranium enrichment and dismantle its nuclear infrastructure. Iranian leaders insist their nuclear program is peaceful and intended only for civilian purposes, even as enrichment levels have risen. The BBC is filing a motion to dismiss Donald Trump's lawsuit over how his 6 January 2021 speech was edited in a Panorama documentary. The U.S. president filed a $5 million lawsuit in a Florida court last month, accusing the BBC of defamation and of violating a trade practices law. Court papers filed on Monday show the broadcaster will argue the Florida court lacks personal jurisdiction over the BBC, the court venue is improper, and that Trump has failed to state a claim. The BBC previously apologized to Trump over the edit, but rejected his demands for compensation and disagreed. The corporation will also argue that the Panorama program was not aired in the United States and did not defame the U.S. president. It will also assert that Trump has not demonstrated that the documentary caused any actual damages to him, noting that he was re-elected after the program aired and carried Florida with a commanding majority. Trump claims the documentary was aired on BritBox, which the BBC said is not correct. It points out that the clip is some 15 seconds of an hour-long program containing extensive coverage of his supporters and balanced coverage of his path to re-election. The BBC previously acknowledged the edit had given the mistaken impression Trump had made a direct call for violent action, but disagreed there was any basis for a defamation claim. A proposed trial date in 2027 has been indicated should the case progress. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi and South Korean President Lee Jae-myung met in Japan on Tuesday as the two East Asian neighbors look to bolster security and economic cooperation. The meeting in Nara, Takaichi's home prefecture, comes a week after Lee met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing. The two leaders agreed to deepen cooperation on economic, security, and regional issues, including efforts towards denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula and strengthen collaboration in advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence and semiconductors. Both Takaichi and Lee emphasized the importance of forward-looking stable ties as they face shared economic uncertainties and geopolitical volatile situation, particularly with North Korea's nuclear and shifting U.S. policy dynamics. The summit is part of an ongoing shuttle diplomacy effort marking their third in less than 3 months. In a record-breaking operation, Spanish National Police seized nearly 10 tons of cocaine concealed in a cargo on a merchant vessel in the Atlantic Ocean. Elite GEO units boarded the ship, arresting 13 crew members and recovering a firearm. Officials say the operation marks the biggest maritime drug seizure in the history of the Spanish National Police and was carried out with support from international partners, including the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration and the UK's National Crime Agency. The vessel was intercepted during a coordinated maritime operation, though authorities did not disclose its flag or destination. The suspects were then taken into custody pending judicial proceedings, and the cocaine was transferred to secure facilities for analysis and destruction. Investigators say the case remains under investigation to identify the criminal network behind the shipment. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended the International Kite Festival in Ahmedabad alongside German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. The visit by Mars comes ahead of a scheduled EU-India summit where both sides are expected to finalize a free trade agreement. During the festival, the leaders observed traditional kite-flying displays and engaged with local organizers, highlighting cultural ties between India and Germany. Government officials say the visit is part of a broader diplomatic preparations for the upcoming trade negotiations. The leaders also discussed strengthening economic and technological cooperation between the two countries. Security measures were heightened during the event to ensure the safety of both delegations and attendees. It is underscored that the visit highlights India's growing role in international trade and diplomacy ahead of the EU-India summit. Japanese researchers have set sail for an expanse of seabed where they hope to mine rare earths. The vessel left Shimizu port in Shizuoka Prefecture on Monday. It's traveling to waters about 150 kilometers southeast of Mimami Torishima Island inside Japan's exclusive economic zone. Scientists have found that the seabed 6,000 meters below the surface has high concentrations of rare earths. The minerals are vital to high-tech industries. The vessel is owned by the Japan Agency for Marine Earth Science Technology. The researchers plan to test newly developed pipes and mining equipment for about 20 days. They're scheduled to return on February the 14th. China is tightening export controls to Japan for what Beijing calls dual-use items with both military and civilian applications. There are concerns that the measure may include rare earth metals. Program Director Ishii says Japan must speed up research and development to diversify sources. The Vietnam National Fine Arts Museum has received nearly 1,000 artworks from the Vietnam Fine Arts Association in what is being described as the largest handover in the museum's history. The transfer, which took place on January the 12th, includes a total of 979 works divided into three main groups: historically significant propaganda posters from the 1950s, contemporary paintings and sculptures, and foreign graphic artworks that support international cultural exchange. Among the notable works is Returning Day by artist Bui An Hung and well painting depicting the return of victorious soldiers to Hanoi on Liberation Day 1954. Museum officials say the collection holds high historical, cultural, and market value while also representing key stages in the development of contemporary Vietnamese art. The museum plans to compile research files for each artwork, carry out conservation and restoration, and expand exhibition capacity through a second site expected to be completed within the next 2 years, ensuring broader public access and long-term preservation of the collection. Turkey has opened its first artificial ice climbing wall at the Palandöken ski resort in Erzurum. The facility, located on Palandöken Mountain, stands 25 meters high and stretches 150 meters wide and is designed for both training and recreational purposes. Officials say it is open to the public with climbers guided by experienced instructors and all necessary safety measures in place. The ski resort, one of Turkey's main winter tourism destinations, now offers ice climbing alongside its existing range of winter sports. It is said the wall also serves as a training site for athletes preparing for national and international competitions. Local authorities highlighted that the project is part of a broader effort to expand winter sports infrastructure in eastern Turkey. Safety inspectors confirmed that the wall meets international standards for artificial climbing facilities, ensuring a secure environment for participants of all skill levels. South Korea's instant noodle export surpassed $1.5 billion in 2025, hitting a record high according to figures released by the Customs Service. The surge reflects growing global demand for Korean food culture, driven by the popularity of the K content and social media trends. Ramen varieties featuring strong flavors and premium ingredients have gained strong traction in markets such as the United States, Europe, and Southeast Asia. Industry officials say overseas consumers are increasingly viewing Korean instant noodles as both convenient and trendy. The government and food companies have expanded marketing efforts and improved supply chains to meet rising demand. It is expected exports to continue growing as Korean food gains wider international recognition. Manufacturers have also diversified their product lines to cater to local tastes, offering halal-certified, vegan, and low-spice options for different reasons. With sustained interest in Korean lifestyle and entertainment, the instant noodle industry is expected to remain a key driver of South Korea's food exports in the coming years. Snow and rime ice were recorded across the Tian Shan Mountains in northwest China's Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region over the past 2 days, according to local authorities and media reports. Dense rime covered trees in deep valleys of the mountain range as temperatures creating widespread frost conditions. Officials say the weather conditions and wildlife activity highlight the region's winter climate patterns and the ecological environment of the Tian Shan mountain area. They, however, warned that the icy conditions could pose risk to hikers and local transportation and urged caution in affected areas. Tourism officials say winter visits to the Tian Shan Mountains remain popular with safety measures in place for visitors. It is said the snow and frost provide important water sources for downstream ecosystems in Xinjiang. A traditional Afro-Brazilian religious festival took place in the historic city of Ouro Preto in Brazil as participants paraded through the streets singing and playing instruments to honor Catholic saints and Afro-Brazilian historical figures. The event honored the figures who were enslaved by the Portuguese during Brazil's colonial period. The festival, which blends Catholic practices with Afro-Brazilian cultural traditions, reflects the historical role of Black brotherhoods in preserving African identity and religious expression during slavery in Brazil. Local authorities say the procession took place without incident and attracted residents and visitors to the city's historic center. The festival is held annually and is recognized as an important expression of Afro-Brazilian cultural and religious heritage. Organizers say the event aims to preserve traditions passed down through generations.
The gorgeous temple of Chango Narayan holds greater significance among the 4 Narayan temples located in different cardinal points of Kathmandu Valley. It is situated on a magnificent hilltop about 16 kilometers northeast of Kathmandu in the Bhaktapur district. Chango Narayan is known for its majestic temple complex, full of magnificent artworks in stone, metal, and wood. As an important heritage site of archaeological and cultural importance, with a history of nearly 1700 years, Chango Narayan was designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site in October 1979. By then, it also received the attention of international observers abroad. One of the first substantial epigraphic evidences of Nepalese history was found in the temple premises consecrated by Lichavi King Mandev, dating back to 464 AD. It shows that Changonarayan was already developed as an important sacred place long before his time. There are various myths and legends regarding the origin of Changonarayan. As detailed in the Vansavalis, Changu had already been established as a sacred site around 3rd century AD. The Ichangu inscription of Vijaya Kamdev, dated 1199 AD, informs that the temple was built by the king Haridatta Varma, happened to be 9th generations before Mandev. The time of Haridatta Varma is estimated as early as 325 AD. During Lichavi period, Changonarayan was also known as Dola Shikhar, which refers to a mount or hill in the shape of Doli. Gopal Raj Vansavali and the Changu inscription also mention it as Changu, a Newari word that refers to swing-like hill. But the evidences show that this particular place was popular as Changonarayan from the earliest time, and the same name exists in the society till present. This two-storied temple is of basic Nepalese design with possible emphasis given to masterful ornamentation. The temple may have passed through series of restoration. The present structure was probably constructed in the 17th century. Changunarayan is regarded as one of the masterpieces of Nepalese temple architecture. The older elements have been incorporated during the restorations.
Everest, I would say, is high, but it's easier to climb than Makalu. Makalu is a little bit technical. Kanchenjunga is very high. It's technical and it's isolated. Everest, you get internet on base camp all the time. Camp 2 is quite big. Camp 2, you get internet again. Now people even have internet on Camp 4. So I would say Everest is easier, it's higher, difficult for sure, but Makalu and Kanchenjunga are less climbed and they are definitely harder. Kanchenjunga was very hard. They have different challenges, but I think K2 is definitely more technical, more harder. So K2 has different challenges, but both mountains have different challenges. If I have to compare the two, one is K2 is more difficult. I'm planning to climb Shishapangma in autumn because China sometimes doesn't give permits out. It's better to climb when the permits are being given. And I'm planning to climb Dhaulagiri next year in spring. I always take one Sherpa, and I climbed in Nepal mostly with Imagine Nepal, one peak with 7 summits. I always go with one Sherpa because I think it's safer. I mean, when I send mostly, I just keep going. I don't need anybody, but if any emergency happens, then it's better to have a guide with you, and a local guide who knows the mountain. I'm strong enough. Sometimes I'm just going by myself. I do need oxygen, so they carry it. But I am a mother of 2 small girls, so I will not climb without the help of Sherpa. It's something usually mothers, like I haven't seen any young mothers on the mountain, so it's not easy to leave your young kids. Anything can happen. If you die, then who's going to look after the kids. But I have some sort of confidence. Maybe people will not agree, but I know I will come back down for my young girls. And usually people say, how can you leave your young girls behind? But when I'm on the mountain, I have a difficult moment. I think about my daughters, that my daughters need me, so I need to go back no matter what. So I put extra effort. I'm more focused just because I know I have 2 daughters home. So they've been my strength, not my weakness. I think collaboration is very important. Like you said, Pakistan and Nepal has most number of 8,000 meter peaks. We can learn a lot from Nepal when it comes to tourism because we are very behind. Your economy, you get in your GDP, most of the revenue comes from tourism, and we have beautiful mountains like Nepal, but we have very minimal revenue that comes from tourism. So we can learn definitely from Nepal, and the process is like everything. When we get to Nepal, to when we get to base camp, to summit, back, and then out of the country, it's like I love the process in Nepal. We are very far behind, and but we have tourism potential. So I think we can collaborate in that sense where we can learn from Nepal experience. I don't see many Nepalis in Pakistan, so I mean we should like promote tourism of Nepalis also, and Pakistanis coming also to each other's country. There's definitely room for improvement when it comes to collaboration between the two countries, and I know we love Nepali and Nepali also love us, so yeah, we need to make use of that. I think first time the process of coming in, because in Pakistan it was hard. Now it's improving. As soon as we come in, it was easy. People are really nice. I think most Nepali I met are nice, friendly. They know how to communicate, and yeah, I think that was the best part: the friendliness of the Nepali people and the kindness. Hardship for me personally is being away from family. So Kanchenjunga, for example, I said is isolated. It's very far from connectivity. So not being able to speak to the family, for example, was the hard. I mean, nothing that I had no difficulty from Nepal itself or the people from Nepal, but just being away from family and emotional difficulty.
Experience has always been good. Nepali, if I say Nepali, I would say like धेरै राम्रो छ. मलाई नेपालको टुरिज्म मेरो एक्सपिरियन्स धेरै मन पर्छ, खुसी लाग्छ नेपालमा. यस्तो घर जस्तो vibe हो. I've loved Nepal. This country has accepted me a lot, and it's a pleasure for me to be here always. If we talk about Nepal, I think it's more commercial, and I think the tourism in Nepal is like very fast in Pakistan, but now eventually in Pakistan it's growing as well. But if I compare Karakoram or Himalayas, Karakoram are more like steeper and more difficult, more technical to climb, and the specific region and the moving glaciers and everything that make them more difficult, especially the change of weather. So I believe that the Karakorams are more difficult to climb. I've seen a lot of Sherpas in Nepal, in Pakistan, who come to climb a lot of mountains. Mero sabai sathiharu Nepalko, every season they come to K2 and Nanga Parbat and Broad Peak to climb that mountain, and they are one of the lead climbers as well. So, in Pakistan there is much respect to the Sherpas. In Pakistan is so good. Sherpaहरू सबै धेरै मन पर्छ पाकिस्तानमा. यो सो सेम घर जस्तो लाग्छ. मलाई त तीनवटा कन्ट्री त मन पर्छ. तिब्बतमा अलिकति गाह्रो छ, यसको पर्मिटको भिजाको अलिकति गाह्रो छ. अनि नेपालमा त इजी, पाकिस्तानमा इजी हो. मलाई त राम्रो लाग्छ. It's more like Nepal or Pakistan friendship expedition, something like that. And I think it's a great idea. It should be initiated. And we are up, me, Sarvaz, Naila, we are one of the Pakistani climbers, and yes, of course in Nepal there are a lot of climbers as well. So we can combine an expedition, we can launch it to Everest or K2, whatever it feels like.
I climb Nanga Parbat solo, also Broad Peaks. Then K2 I have one Pakistani climbing partner. Sherpa in last one day, just and Camp 4 to Camp 4, I use Sherpa. जिस कंपनी में मैं आया था उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं आप अकेले क्लाइंब कर सकते हैं, लेकिन विंड बहुत ज़्यादा है, लेकिन आपको शेरपा लेके जाना पड़ेगा. फिर आखिरी दिन वो शेरपा साथ दिया, तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह वो शेरपा ने बहुत सपोर्ट किया. शेरपा ने भी, विंड भी बहुत ज़्यादा था, तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह समिट हो गया उस वजह से. इस माउंटेन इज़ नॉट डिफरेंट. मुश्किल वो भी है, मुश्किल ये भी है. यहाँ पे लोग कहते हैं कि माउंट एवरेस्ट बहुत आसान है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं है. यहाँ के जो लोग हैं उन लोगों ने काम किया है, इस वजह से यहाँ पे आसान है. अदरवाइज़ आप ख़ुद से जिस तरीके से हमने क्लाइंबिंग की यहाँ पे, ख़ुद से अगर क्लाइंबिंग करें, आप अपना जूता खुद पहने, अपने लिए पानी खुद बनाएं, अपने लिए रूट खुद बनाएं, तो ये बहुत आसान काम नहीं है. क्योंकि मैंने देखा है एवरेस्ट के अंदर, एवरेस्ट का कैंप 4 तक, बेस कैंप से कैंप 4 से समिट इतना ही डिस्टेंस बराबर है. तो डेथ जोन के अंदर आप 6-7 घंटा 12 घंटा आप रहते हैं, आसान नहीं है। तो हर पहाड़ का अपना एक खेल है। जैसा K2 है, K2 के ऊपर एवलांच वगैरह होते हैं, आइस फॉल होता है, रॉक गिरता है। यहाँ पे ये नहीं होता, लेकिन उसके बदले में फिर इसकी हाई बहुत ज़्यादा है, बहुत ज़्यादा हाई है और लंबा बहुत ज़्यादा है। तो इंसान है, बहरहाल वो क्या कहते हैं कि तकलीफ़ होती है हर जगह पे, हर पहाड़ का अपनी एक तकलीफ़ है। तो बहरहाल ये मेरे लिए बहुत अच्छा एक्सपीरियंस था। मैंने बहुत कुछ सीखा यहाँ पे नेपाल में आके, क्योंकि यहाँ पे जिस तरीके से लोग काम करते हैं, इवेंट बेस कैंप से लेके टॉप तक जो लोग काम करते हैं, अगर इस तरीके से अगर हम कोशिश करें पाकिस्तान के अंदर, अगर हमारे जो क्लाइंट्स है इंटरनेशनल लेवल के जो क्लाइंट्स आते हैं उनके लिए इस तरीके से प्रोफेशनल तरीके से हम अगर खिदमत करें तो डेफिनेटली पाकिस्तान के अंदर भी बहुत ज़्यादा टूरिज़म आ सकता है। क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ पे एक पाकिस्तान के अंदर एक चीज़ की कमी है कि प्रोफेशनल लोग बहुत कम हैं। यानी जैसा माउंटेन गाइड्स है ही नहीं कोई, मतलब सरबाज वगैरह जो अभी जो नए लड़का है, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा अगर आने वाले 2-3 साल में ये एक आध होंगे। तो हमें इनिशियल स्टेज पे यहाँ पे किसी तरीके से हमें कोई ऐसा एक्सेस मिल जाए कि हमें ट्रेनिंग्स मिल जाए, जिस तरीके से यहाँ पे लोग काम करते हैं इसी तरीके से अगर हम पाकिस्तान में भी थोड़ा सा अवेयरनेस के साथ अगर हमें 1 साल की अगर ट्रेनिंग दे दे तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह हमारे लोग भी बहुत ज़्यादा तगड़े हैं। तो क्योंकि जो क्लाइंट जो है वो सर्टिफिकेशन देखता है, तो वो देखता है कि कितना ट्रेंड है और कितना मतलब इसके पास एक्सपीरियंस है। तो अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह एक्सपीरियंस तो हम लोगों के पास भी बहुत है, लेकिन सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं होने की वजह से मतलब फॉरेनर जो है जो हमारे ऊपर ट्रस्ट कम करता है। तो ज़्यादातर पाकिस्तान के अंदर भी नेपाल से जो शेरपाज है उनको लेके आते हैं और उनके ऊपर ज़्यादा ट्रस्ट किया जाता है, हमारे ऊपर ट्रस्ट कम किया जाता है।
I'm lucky when someone says you looks like a Sherpa, or you say some or says you are like a Sherpa, you are like strong with Sherpa. I'm very happy because in this world, in this our climbing community, Sherpas like brand. Yeah. So I'm very happy when someone says you looks like Sherpa, or you are like Sherpa. Oh yeah, in 2021, in COVID time, he said, oh, Nepali or Pakistani passport. I said, oh, come on, man. I'm from Pakistan. So yeah, my look is like a Tibetan, and my mother from Skardu, and yeah, I climbed my first 8,000 is Nanga Parbat with Sherpas. So maybe Mimaji is the first K2 Winters summiter. I'm lucky. I climbed with Mimaji my first 8,000. Yeah, even I start my climbing career with Sherpas. So till now, I think 90% of my 8,000ers are climbing career with Sherpas. So most of my climbs with Nepali Sherpas in Pakistan, Nepal, and in Tibet, China. Like Tikcha, like this, yeah. I feel when I come to Nepal, I feel like my second home, to be honest. And all Sherpas, even 80% of Sherpas, they know me, and I have a good relation with Sherpas, they respect. I think who are living in the mountains, almost same culture, same honesty, and yeah, little bit food is a little bit different, but yeah, I think who are living in the mountains, connect with nature, so both are the same, but so we need to extend our seasons, like autumn. We have good autumn and spring also, but we have no qualified climbers, guides, so we need work on this, and then yes, inshallah. Alhamdulillah, because when I start my climbing career in 2016-17, and I climbed my first 8,000er and Nanga Parbat, that time I announced Mission Summit 14 without oxygen. But later on Annapurna, Kanchenjunga and Everest, the last part, I feel the weather was very bad and strong winds. I use oxygen. So I repeat this year these 3 peaks like K2 in last year, Annapurna and Kanchenjunga this season. So I'm very happy. This is the big, I think, in adventure tourism, like in climbing. You can say it's a FIFA World Cup, like when you are climbing without oxygen, without Sherpa. But we help. We need without Sherpa's help. You can say without Sherpa. So without oxygen, I complete my Mission Summit 14 and become first Pakistani. This is not for me or not my family. It's this record for whole Pakistan. So I'm feeling very proud. To be honest, after 8 years, I complete my big dream. I think this is sometime when I remember my all past and my climbing career, I feel very different because I came as a kitchen boy, as a porter. I worked as a kitchen boy 6-7 years when I was in college. So after 8 years, when I complete my Mission Summit 14, it looks like a dream. It looks like of course different experience because it's involved weather, it's terrain, But it's most difficult is of course Kanchenjunga and Annapurna here in Nepal, in Pakistan K2 and Lanka Parbat. So every peak have different terrain, different hardness or it's difficult level is. Manaslu is like I think easiest mountain in Mission Summit 14, like in Pakistan G2 and Manaslu in Nepal is easiest. Sometimes it's like 3 years ago, it's the BKO launch cam and our team 3 Sherpas injured. Sometimes it's more, mountain is mountain. We can't fight against the nature. Like sometimes happen. Every mountain is like difficult level is different. But sometimes easy. You can say this is easy, but it's like you remember in Shishapama last year in 2023. Big accident there, and Gina from US, Anna, and one of the Lama, one of the best climber in Nepal, we lost. Sometimes it's happened like this. If you have manpower, Annapurna first. Between Camp 2 and Camp 3, you can't understand what happened. When you are climbing between Camp 2 and Camp 3, sometimes your breath level is like, I can't explain because I climbed 2 times, so I feel inside. So I climbed 3 times K2, but I think in Pakistan we have very strong climbers, but like trainings, even in here in Nepal, I think 3-4 big like NNMGA, IFMGA. Like this institute, but in Pakistan, till now, single person we have not certified, IFMJ certified. But I think in Nepal, 80 plus IFMJ guides. So we need collaboration with Nepal or like Norway. So we need to establish some good institute, schools, training schools. Then hopefully we have in future we improve in climbing and in tourism department. Nepal is like really they make good rules and regulations for tourists. What you need, is freedom. Everything is available. Every year more people. I saw more climbers visiting Nepal. And more ability, like IFMGA guides, more they add every year like 5-6. So this is a good sign for Nepal to boost adventure tourism in Nepal. Oh, in starting days, I faced very difficult because I have no sponsors. But Migmaji, again, Migmaji is like my brother. He helped me a lot. And yes, if I'm here this time in Nepal, and I knew into because of him, he's helped like his brother. And Alhamdulillah, I hard worker, and God give me a opportunity, and give me success one by one, and yeah, now I am here. And after my 6th peak, I got first sponsors, local sponsor from Pakistan. Then till now I have. Because before 6th, I visited 2 times in Nepal, once Manasu and Slotse. So yeah, that time Migmaji gave me an opportunity to come to Nepal and climb with my company. And I already 2 trainings from here, me and Abdul Joshi and Suhail from Pakistan. So in future, yes. Well, now I am getting old. So yeah, my plan is like this. I want to introduce IFMGA in Pakistan, the most important thing. We have no single one, IFMGA certified single one. So we need establish some schools, some training centers. And yeah, I work with as a guide. Yeah, it's different question. I think so. I don't like even too much branding, but I work as a ground level to establish one school and more people to involve in climbing, because we have potential. We have 8,000 or 6,000 and 7,000, even in Pakistan, unclimbed peaks also. So I want to try to establish one good school, and my some yes, I have some. I already start my book. So yeah, we are thinking about also a documentary, good documentary, not like maybe 20% little bit up and down, but 80% I want natural to try natural, not like fake. Good friend, my partner, Saad Munawar, he's just 3 days before he climbed from north side, Everest. He's the first Pakistani to climb from north side. From north side. So yeah, he's nice writer also. So we together.
So from
when humans are approached and interfere in the nature, yeah, there are vast. But we need to clean, because you saw nowadays last 3-4 years climate change, like you don't understand what happened. On whole, but we have big glaciers. The most affected areas, I think, in Nepal and Pakistan, because we have big glaciers like Siachen, Himalaya here, Siachen, Baltoro, Biafo. So we need to protect also our glaciers.
Pakistani climbers today here, and this is also a shared heritage of Pakistan and Nepal, that out of 14 8,000ers, 13 of us, 13 we share between us. And K2 in Everest, you can see on the plaque that is also on the right on my wall, that we share this heritage. And recently I also congratulate Nepal for holding Sagarmatha Samvad, which highlighted that ecology and the mountains' fragile ecology is not a given, and we need to do something to protect it. And in doing so, I think we celebrate our climbers, and we also celebrate those who are preserving it and the geography of the region. Climbers, some of them are here, they can also join them, and then they can have a joint expedition both to K2 and Everest.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Mewar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra.
Heaven above and angels below. This is the essence of Ruby Valley. Nestled in the northern part of Nepal's Dhading district, Ruby Valley is a hidden jewel surrounded on all sides by majestic mountain ranges. The landscape here is a feast for the eyes. White rhododendron blossoms paint the hillsides and sprawling rice fields shimmer under the sunlight. At about 300 kilometers from Kathmandu, the valley is a serene retreat, rich in culture, tradition, and natural beauty. Reaching Ruby Valley involves a remarkable trek that starts with a scenic journey from Kathmandu through Nuwakot and Rasuwa, winding towards the base of Ganesh Himal, the towering peak that watches over this land. The trek leads through dense pine and oak forests, terraced farmlands, and vibrant local villages like Tipling, home to the Tamang community. These people live in harmony with nature, cultivating crops and raising livestock while keeping their rich traditions alive, welcoming visitors with warm hospitality and cultural performances.
Ruby Valley has a great tourism potential. It is home to the rare red panda. We have managed to conserve the species very well here. We are culturally diverse too. There are communities like Tamang, Ghale, Gurung and Dalits. They all have their own culture and traditions. The Gurungs have Ghatu Nach. Tamangs have Mendo Maya, Saikhole, Bamsangmo. We are encouraging all the communities to preserve their traditions. We are also helping better manage the homestays and focusing more on trekking trails than roads.
The striking Pangsang Pass at 3,800 meters marks a stunning milestone on the route, offering panoramic views of the green-clad hills and distant Himalayan ranges. Below, forests of tall sal trees stand as silent guardians. As travelers traverse this landscape, they witness local women harvesting crops, hear the heartfelt songs sung by villagers in the fields, and feel the essence of a life deeply connected to the land.
Ruby Valley has made sure to preserve the Tamang culture and the traditions till date. For instance, we all still wear our cultural dress. These are our identity. This song has been in our community since ages. It explains to us of our culture. It also includes our tradition of marrying maternal cousins. Our parents emphasize on continuing the practice. I think I'll get married to my maternal uncle's son too.
The daily sight of Ganesh Himal inspires awe and a sense of peace that visitors carry with them. Ruby Valley lies in the heart of the Himalayas, surrounded by some of Nepal's most famous mountain ranges, Manaslu, Annapurna, Langtang and Ganesh Himal itself.
I find this place amusing. I feel happy. People here are very kind and open-hearted. They are very friendly and welcoming. This place is like home to me, as I lived here for 1.5 years.
One can view Pangsang and Peldur Himal from here along with Langtang and Manaslu range. Ruby Valley is like heaven.
Just like its name, Ruby Valley, this place is Valley of Gems and Jewels. There are precious red, blue, black stones and crystals here. It's a fitting place for geological studies. There's a beautiful mountain range that one can view from here, including the Ganesh Himal, which gives so much light and joy to all Nepalese. The place is rich in animal and bird diversity and is home to different herbs. This is a perfect destination for both international and domestic tourists. Everyone should visit this place at least once in their life.
This place has a great potential. This road here connects Nepal with China and it's also good for trekking. We have helicopter facility, phone and electricity supply. We have all facility that one needs. This is a must-visit destination for both domestic and international visitors.
Ruby Valley is home to different communities. There are as many languages, cultures, and religions as there are communities. Most people are farmers. They do agriculture and also rear livestock. Most take their yaks and sheep upward during monsoon. Up there, it's beautiful. One can find hundreds of different flowers, diverse birds and fauna there. Words are not enough to explain the beauty of Ruby Valley.
This place is a gem. It has precious resources and a great hydropower potential. There are many precious herbs as well. The beautiful mountains and historical sites make this place beautiful.
All my sons and daughters left. They're living their own lives, while we continue to live the way we did. It sounds fun living in the cities, but most don't have their own homes. It must be difficult living in rent. It's easier here. In city, you have to work hard to keep up.
This geographic embrace creates breathtaking scenery at every turn. Yak caravans and mule trains add a touch of timeless charm to the trekking experience, enhancing the rustic beauty of this remote land. The village of Chalis, nestled in the lap of Ganesh Himal, is a cultural crossroads for the Gurung community. Visitors witness their unique traditions, hear their folk songs by evening fires, and enjoy their vibrant dances, which invite travelers to connect on a deeper level. The journey continues beyond the villages to sacred sites like Tatopani Kunda, where natural hot springs offer spiritual purification and healing waters believed to renew body and soul. From there, hikers embark on a challenging yet rewarding trek to the holy Ganesh Kunda, a glacial pond named after Lord Ganesh. This pristine water body mirrors the majestic peaks around it, creating an ethereal panorama that captivates all those who visit.
Most Nepalese know very well that Ganesh Himal range is believed to be a place Hindu Lord Ganesh visits for rest and recreation. That is its speciality.
With peaks ascending over 7,400 meters, Ganesh Himal stands as a guardian of this sacred valley. Ruby Valley is more than a destination. It is an invitation to experience Nepal's untouched nature, vibrant cultures, and spiritual heritage all in one journey. For those seeking a unique adventure off the beaten path, Ruby Valley offers an unparalleled blend of breathtaking landscapes, warm hospitality, and rich traditions that make it one of Nepal's top destinations for international and domestic travelers. Reports of general secretaries unanimously endorsed at Nepali Congress Special General Convention. Election process for new leadership to move forward from tomorrow. 9 Nepali nationals from Salyan killed in a gas cylinder explosion in India. Deceased from 2 families from the same village. Thousands of young Nepalese turned to election police recruitment. Take it as a short-term source of income while being part of nation's democratic process. At least 770,000 children in Nepal still out of school due to the inability to reduce school dropout rates. US President Donald Trump urges Iranian anti-government protesters to keep protesting as help is on its way, suggesting a possible intervention. And National League football competition organized by ANFA to begin tomorrow. Opening match to see Kakre Bihar Youth Club face Friends Club. Good evening, I am Ipulagi Singlama. This is NTV World News Hour coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in details. The Nepali Congress Special General Convention at Bhirkuti Mandap will begin election process under the party's existing statute to elect a president, 2 vice presidents, 2 general secretaries, 8 joint general secretaries and 121 members. The voter list has been revised to 4,635 after accounting for deceased members and those who left the party. Meanwhile, reports presented by General Secretaries Gagan Kumar Thapa and Bishwa Prakash Sharma were unanimously endorsed. Thapa's report focused on democratic values, nationalism and the rule of law, while Sharma's organizational report proposed limiting a person to 2 terms as Prime Minister and ensuring mandatory representation of members under 40 across all party levels, as well as elections from grassroots committee. More on this on our Issue of the Day segment. 9 Nepali nationals from 2 families in Takura, Siddhakumak rural municipality Salyan died in a gas cylinder explosion in Arki, Himachal Pradesh, India. The blast occurred around 2 a.m. on Monday when a cylinder in the room where they were sleeping exploded, causing a fire that also damaged nearby houses. Among the victims were 5 members of the Bika family, including young children and 4 members of another family. The deceased had been living and working in India for about 2 years. 5 bodies have been recovered, while researchers continue for the others. The tragedy has left the village in deep mourning, with relatives and neighbors in shock. Ward officials have declared mourning leave and plan a condolence assembly expressing sorrow over the sudden loss of villagers who had gone abroad to support their families. Now, thousands of young Nepali nationals are lining up at district police offices around the country to apply for election police, formerly known as Myadi Prahari in Nepal. Nearly 70% of applicants are aged between 20 and 35, driven by high youth unemployment and a sense of civic duty. In Kathmandu alone, over 3,000 applications have been filed, with women making up 34% of the pool. The government plans to deploy more than 133,000 election police nationwide for a 40-day assignment to ensure election security. More on this on our cover story later. Now, at least 770,000 children in Nepal remain out of school as the country continues to struggle with high dropout rates, according to the National Statistics Office's thematic report of the 2021 census. 10% of children aged 5 to 17 are not attending school. While school enrollment has improved, many students drop out after grade 5, and 1 in 4 youths aged 15 to 19 is no longer in school. Poverty, economic hardship, caste and ethnic inequality, religion and social marginalization are cited as key reasons. Despite gains in female literacy and near universal literacy among children, major regional gaps persist, with Madhya province lagging significantly behind.
Moving on, US President Donald J. Trump has urged Iranian anti-government protesters to continue demonstrating, saying that help is on the way as his administration signals a possible intervention in Iran. His national security team is expected to meet to discuss available options. Meanwhile, thousands are feared dead following a severe crackdown on weeks of protest, with Iranians describing widespread death and destruction in their first calls to relatives abroad after days of silence. Iranian security official told that that toll could be around 2,000 people, including security personnel. Reports also say a protester, Irfan Sultani, is set to be executed imminently, with human rights groups warning they have never seen a case move so quickly. Although some communication with the outside world has resumed, an ongoing internet blackout continues to hamper independent verification of information from inside Iran. Now, the National League football competition organized by the All Nepal Football Association ANFA will begin tomorrow. The opening match will feature Kakri Bihar Youth Club competing against Friends Club at 11 a.m. at the ANFA complex in Satdabato. On the same day, Sri Bhagwati Club will play against Church Boys Club. Both matches will be held at the ANFA complex in Satdabato. The league will feature 17 teams, 13 from the A division and 4 promoted from the ANFA President's League. The league will be played in a single round robin format with a total of 136 matches. The formal inauguration ceremony of the 2026 National League will take place on Friday, January 16 at Dasrat Stadium, with the match between Machindra Club and NRT. All league matches will be held across Dasrat Stadium, Chasol Stadium and the ANFA complex. The winner of the league will receive a cash prize of 5 million Nepali rupees. The Nepali Congress Special General Convention at Bhirkuti Mandap has opted to hold elections under the party's existing statute. With the voter count trimmed to 4,635, all eyes are on the leadership race. Details after this break. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Time for Issue of the Day. The Special General Convention of Nepali Congress NC, which kicked off at Bhirkuti Mandap on Sunday, has decided to conduct elections in accordance with the party's existing statute. As per the party statutes, 1 president, 2 vice presidents, 2 general secretaries, 8 joint general secretaries and 121 members will be elected. The event is being attended by factions within the NC that support the Special General Convention organized by the party Publicity Committee. The 14th General Convention had a total of 4,743 voters. The number has now been reduced to 4,635 after excluding those who have passed away and those who have joined other political parties. Now, the reports presented by both General Secretaries at Nepali Congress Special General Convention have been unanimously endorsed after discussions in closed session. General Secretary Thapa had presented contemporary political report, while other General Secretary Sharma presented organizational report. The reports address various issues, including engagement with the Gen Z movement, the country's system of governance, and amendments to the party's statute. Thapa's report emphasized working to establish democratic values in nationalism, national dignity, and the rule of law. Meanwhile, Sharma's organizational report proposed a provision limiting an individual to serving as Prime Minister only twice. The report also includes provisions for mandatory representation of people under the age of 40 from the Central Committee down to the ward committees, allowing proportional representation only once, and requiring office bearers and members of the party's Central Working Committee to be elected through the party's grassroots level committees. Now, one can ask the value of time in Nepali Congress leaders, especially those from the inception side, on honoring the spirit of the special convention while at the same time keeping their dignity intact. While today's Central Committee meeting that eventually did not convene only fueled the dispute further, the after attempts involving all sides, including Dr. Sekhar Koirala, seems to be bearing fruits. Devendra Subedi follows the developing story.
From buying time to showing flexibility now in Nepali Congress, the largest party in the dissolved House of Representatives, the wave of rebellion shown by the two general secretaries seems to be taking an institutional shape. After rounds and series of consultations and meetings, the inception side seems to be showing flexibility after the special general convention on its third day moved ahead with nomination registration for new executive committee. Both sides were serious, knowing the fact that if the special general convention elected new leadership, the party could split. Though no concrete agreement had been reached by this time, leaders who brokered the talks between the three sides were hopeful of finding a middle way in another Central Committee meeting that has been called for Wednesday. From the convention side, Gururaj Ghimire, Pradeep Paudel, Madhu Acharya and Devraj Chalise participated, while the party president Sherbahadur Deuva's side, Ramesh Lekhak and Balkrishna Khad joined, and from Sekhar Koirala's side, Jivan Pariyar and Minendra Rizal were present. Tuesday's Central Committee meeting, which eventually did not take place, did nothing than further fueling the differences. Acting President Purna Bahadur Kharka, Sekhar Koirala, Dhanaraj Gurung, Krishna Sitola, Bimalendra Nidhi and other senior leaders held separate discussions to try to secure a consensus. Meanwhile, the Special General Convention faction urged the establishment side to take ownership of the convention. They maintained that party unity lies with the two general secretaries, Gagan Kumar Thapa and Bishwa Prakash Sharma.
Party ko netritwa ko karanle hamro karanle party phutaina.
The Special General Convention faction has put forward three main conditions for agreement with the establishment. Party President Sherbahadur Deuva must relinquish his executive role and hand over acting leadership to Purna Bahadur Kharka until mid-June. Deuva's signature should not be used for party functions such as registering parliamentary candidacies, and the president must declare that he will not contest the next election. And third, the party must accept the Special General Convention and implement the documents passed there. Though the convention faction announced that in the spirit of consensus, it has postponed the election scheduled until Wednesday morning, all eyes are set on the Central Committee meeting called for the same day.
In this context, we earlier spoke to Dr. Iswari Prasad Kadel, reader at Central Department of Political Science, Tribhuvan University. Here are the excerpts. What is your observation of the Special General Convention of Nepali Congress? Is it a real rebellion inside the party or attempt to go with the flow after the Gen Z sentiments?
There are very vast differences of political point of view and modern dispute. I think that is especially to conflict with the time of period.
Do you see any middle way to the crisis within the party?
I think that is a demand of new and old dispute, I think, like Gen Z movement can be create the political parties are not fear of the people.
So wait and watch seems to be the policy of both sides. Do you think Nepali Congress is really at the verge of split?
Nepalese Congress is one party who has taken the tree and where take the pole star. They claim that is Nepalese Congress. It effect in some event in futures like elections and other such as things.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kadeo, for your time and for joining NTV World.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was our Issue of the Day segment. Now moving on, amid job scarcity and uncertainty, thousands of Nepali youth are joining election police recruitment, seeking income while standing guard over democracy. Our cover story after the break. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Welcome back. With jobs scarce and futures uncertain, thousands of young Nepalese are turning to election police recruitment, not only as a short-term source of income, but also as a chance to safeguard the nation's democratic process. Suveksha Rajak brings report.
Thousands of young Nepalese are thronging the district police offices not just for paycheck, but for a role in shaping the nation's democratic future. The recruitment of election police, once known as Myadi Prahari, has drawn an unprecedented wave of applicants, with early data showing that nearly 70% are between the ages of 20 and 35. For many, the short-term role is less about career choice and more about survival in a country where youth unemployment remains stubbornly high.
अब रोजगारकै पनि छैन बेरोजगार भइएको छ त्यही कामको लागि यसो पैसा कमाउँ भनेर नयाँ एक्सपिरियन्स हुन्छ भनेर त्यति नै हो.
In the federal capital, Kathmandu alone, 3,310 applicants have filed for 3,854 vacancies. Men make up about 66% of the pool, while women account for 34%. With 2 days still left before the submission deadline, the serpentine queues look never-ending. Superintendent of Police Pavan Kumar Bhattrai expects to intake as many applications as possible.
अब हामीहरू नेपाल सरकारले तोकेको समयमा आसन्न प्रतिनिधि सभाको निर्वाचनको लागि गर्नुपर्ने सुरक्षा तयारी अन्तर्गतको सबैभन्दा महत्त्वपूर्ण काम निर्वाचन प्रहरीहरूको आवेदन लिने त्यसपछि छनौट गर्ने प्रशिक्षण गर्ने क्रममा छौं. अब योग्यता पुगेका नेपाली नागरिकहरू जो यस पटकको निर्वाचनमा निर्वाचन प्रहरीको रूपमा खटिन चाहनुहुन्छ उहाँहरू सबैलाई अझै पनि 2-3 दिनको आवेदन भर्ने समय छ र देशमा हुन गइराखेका निर्वाचनमा सुरक्षाकर्मीको रूपमा हामीलाई सहयोग गर्नको लागि जो इच्छुक हुनुहुन्छ आवेदन भर्नको लागि आह्वान गर्दछु.
Applicants, many of them college students or recent graduates, see the 40-day service period as both a financial lifeline and a civic duty. The compensation package of 34,776 rupees, including salary, food, and clothing allowances, offers temporary relief in a tight job market. The government plans to mobilize over 133,000 election police nationwide. Their responsibilities will range from crowd management at the polling stations to safeguarding ballot boxes. As final recruitment lists are published on January 26, thousands of young Nepalis will prepare to trade sneakers for boots. Suveksha Rajak with camera person Mamta Koirala reporting for NTV World.
Now, in this context today, in our Public Pulse segment, we have asked why they are applying for the election police. Here's what they had to say.
सबभन्दा पहिला चाहिँ यो मैले जोइन गर्ने भने चाहिँ म अहिले कस्तो फ्रीमै अवस्था फ्री नै छु अनि अरू काम नभएको कारणले अब जस्तै अनि अर्को कुरा भन्दा चाहिँ म सानैदेखि पुलिस आर्मीतिर इन्ट्रेस्ट गर्ने मान्छे अनि अब त्यो भिड्नको लागि यता पढाइलाई छोड्नु कि के गर्नु भने जस्तो यो त सिम्पल छ भिड्न सजिलो फर्म भर्नु पनि सजिलो अनि अनुभव गर्न सजिलो भनेर मैले यो लिएको अनि अर्को कुरा भन्दा चाहिँ जस्तै अब यो भोटहरूलाई राम्रो गर्न त हाम्रै कर्तव्य हो नि त होइन भोटहरू राम्रो भयो भने हाम्रै देश राम्रो हुन्छ अनि भोट राम्रो तरिकाले सम्पन्न होस् भन्ने कारणले मैले यो गरेको
अब देशमा अब रोजगार अब बेरोजगारी भएर पनि होइन अब रुममा मात्रै पनि किन बस्ने अब भनौँ न अब यसो रहर सबैजनालाई क्या अब भए पनि ठिक छ होइन नभए पनि ठिक छ भनेर चाहिँ अब देशको सुरक्षाको लागि अब पुरुष जतिकै अब हामी पनि अलिकति सक्षम हौँ न है भनेर चाहिँ
मूलतन्त्र भनेको बेरोजगार भएर युवाहरू अब यसरी छोटो समय भए पनि जागिर खान तत्पर भएको छौँ हामी युवाहरू यो बेरोजगारको भएकोले नि यति हामी
एउटा सर्टिफिकेट पाउँछ होइन अनि त्यो सर्टिफिकेटले फ्युचरमा केही बन्न सक्छौँ केही गर्न सक्छौँ अनि हाम्रो नाम पनि हुन्छ कि हामीले यो यसमा काम गरेको छौँ भनेर
अब रोजगारकै पनि छैन बेरोजगार भइएको छ त्यही कामको लागि यसो पैसा कमाऊँ भनेर नयाँ एक्सपिरियन्स हुन्छ भनेर त्यति नै हो
मतदाताहरूलाई सुरक्षाकर्मीलाई सहयोग गर्न सक्छु
बेरोजगार छ अनि अलिकति रोजगारको अलिकति भनौँ न प्लेटफर्म जस्तो अलिकति पैसा आउँछ कि भन्ने आशा मात्रै हो रोजगार छैन देशमा
कामै छैन अब त्यही भएर अब नेपालमा कामै छैन बल्ल बल्ल होला त्यही भएर अब यसो हुन्छ खर्च अलिअलि भनेर हो
That was our cover story. Now, Traffic Week is almost a ritual celebration in Nepal that lasts for a week with various programs. Cities like Kathmandu, the federal capital, see proactiveness from traffic police personnel on the roads, while programs including blood donations are organized on the sidelines. This year's Traffic Week is in full swing, while Nepal continues to remain among the countries with the highest fatalities on the road in South Asia. Our colleague Bijeta Bhandari explores the story.
This week, Nepal observes Traffic Safety Week and pauses to talk about safer roads. The traffic police has been observing Traffic Safety Week annually for the past few years. The observance aims at curbing the rising road fatalities, which has become a prime safety concern for both the authorities and the commuters. According to the World Health Organization's data, Nepal's road traffic mortality rate in 2021 was 28 deaths per 100,000 people, one of the highest in South Asia. Men faced far greater risk, 41.5 deaths per 100,000 males compared to 16.4 per 100,000 females. According to the latest data of the Nepal Police, a total of 43,165 vehicles were involved in road traffic accidents across Nepal. Most of them were motorbikes, over 25,000, followed by cars and jeeps, more than 6,600, and nearly 2,000 buses. Rickshaws, tractors, trucks, and tippers were also part of the toll. Of Nepal's 7 provinces, Madhya Province recorded the highest impact, 564 deaths and over 12,000 injuries. Lumbini followed with 506 deaths, while Koshi had 418 and Bagmati Province 304. The data of the Kathmandu Valley itself is quite alarming. Last year, the Kathmandu Valley alone recorded 190 fatalities and nearly 8,000 injuries from road accidents. By comparison, Madhya Province, with 8 districts and a population of around 6 million, had 564 deaths, while the Kathmandu Valley, with just 3 districts and about 3 million people, accounted for 190 deaths. Kathmandu Valley also has almost the same amount of deaths as the entirety of Sudur Pashchim Province. To put this into further perspective, New York, a much larger metropolis in both size and population than Kathmandu Valley, has recorded deaths of only 205 by the end of the year 2025. This data compares the figures and speaks of the volume and also the state of traffic management inside the valley. Overall, out of 29,078 recorded road traffic accidents in the country, the biggest killer was overspeeding, responsible for nearly half of all accidents, followed by driver negligence negligence, pedestrian negligence, drink driving, and unlicensed driving. In October 2021, Nepal published its Road Safety Action Plan and is said to be ready for implementation. The information officer at the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure and Transport says that the National Road Safety Policy is also now in its final approval stage. Its goal? To cut road deaths and serious injuries from 2021 to 50% by the year 2030 and reach zero deaths by 2050.
As Nepal observes Traffic Week with rallies, awareness drives and community programs, the harsh reality of rising road fatalities cannot be ignored. Earlier, we spoke to engineer Kiran Dital, coordinator of Youth for Road Safety, Nepal. Here are some excerpts from the conversation. What is the relevance of Traffic Safety Week and ritual annual programs in making our roads safer? Do stakeholders like you feel included?
This type of traffic week is necessary to create a buzz, especially to make awareness among the people, but it cannot be a final destination. So this is just a start, and we are the sad reality of Nepal is this is the biggest program of Nepal for road safety. So as youth are one of the most affected group from the road crashes, it is the highest number of killers from non-communicable disease, surpassing TB, AIDS, and all the communicable disease. But we are not seeing stakeholders like youth and other society as much as involved as we like. We are rarely consulted, so we are not as involved.
Right. So, Mr. Dital, the week-long celebration includes programs like blood donation, health checkups. What is the effectiveness, or if not a gimmick?
Like I said, it is necessary, but it's like giving Band-Aid to a cancer patient. It cannot be the only treatment. We have various steps, various strategies needed to be done for this. This is just a gimmick right now, but it's necessary right now.
So what are the major problems in improving our road safety, and who do you think are the most responsible?
Okay, so road safety consists of 5 pillars: road safety management, safer road and mobility, safer vehicle, road user, and post-crash management. The traffic week, they are responsible for road safety management and somewhat for safe road user. But we have other 3 pillars, only the 5 pillars. The government, you, I, all the stakeholders are equally important to do that. So let's say for some of the solutions, we have many road safety conventions and laws that we need to pass. But they have been presented in the legislature, but they have not been implemented. So there are some nice laws that needs to be implemented. Similarly, we have not been able to enact the Road Safety Action Plan and Road Safety Act. They have been discussed, but they have not been in policy. We need to implement that. There needs to be an independent road safety council that manages, oversees, and governs road crashes and its studies. So, and we of course need road safety curriculum. And one of the major problem in Nepal, especially is road crashes in motorcycles. So we need to promote motorcycle safety, double helmet laws, and there need to be guarantees of standard helmet in Nepalese market. So there are a lot of things need to be done. The road safety week is like a start. We need to do a lot more.
Now, Minister for Communications and Information Technology, Jagdish Kharel, has urged all Nepali citizens to participate in the upcoming elections, noting that the country has entered an election period. Speaking at the launch of ebookingnepal.com in the capital, Minister Kharel also encouraged voters to exercise their discretion and vote wisely. He emphasized that since youth are expected to bring the change Nepal seeks, it is important to carefully select representatives during the elections. He further noted that recent events have made it unavoidable for political parties to promote youth leadership. ebookingnepal.com has been launched to target all tourists visiting Nepal. According to the organizers, the platform aims to make digital travel and service booking in Nepal more effective.
अब देशमा परिवर्तन युवाहरूले नै गर्नेछन् र अब देशमा परिवर्तन हुँदैछ परिवर्तन यसै गरी हुन्छ र हामी फागुन 21 मा निर्वाचन गर्दै छौं मलाई बडो खुसी लागेको छ अहिले पछिल्लो समयका केही राजनीतिक क्रियाकलाप घटनाक्रमहरू गतिविधिहरू अभियानहरू हेरिराख्दाखेरि अब चाहेर होस् नचाहेर होस् कुनै पनि राजनीतिक दलले युवालाई नजरअन्दाज गरेर युवालाई बेवास्ता गरेर अगाडि बढ्न सक्ने अवस्था छैन.
International news coming up next, but before that, let's take a look into the headlines. Reports of General Secretaries unanimously endorsed at Nepali Congress Special General Convention. Election process for new leadership to move forward from tomorrow. 9 Nepali nationals from Salyan killed in a gas cylinder explosion in India. Deceased from 2 families from the same village. Thousands of young Nepalese turn to election police recruitment. Take it as a short-term source of income while being part of the nation's democratic process. At least 770,000 children in Nepal still out of school due to the inability to reduce school dropout rates. US President Donald Trump urges Iranian anti-government protesters to keep protesting as help is on its way, suggesting a possible intervention. And National League football competition organized by ANFA to begin tomorrow. Opening match to see Kakri Bihar Youth Club face Friends Club. A Russian drone attack on Kharkiv in northeastern Ukraine has killed at least 4 people and injured 6. The strikes targeted the outskirts of the frequently attacked city, just 30 kilometers from the border. The attack comes amid U.S. accusations of Russia's dangerous and inexplicable escalation of the war as President Donald Trump pushes for a resolution. At a UN Security Council emergency meeting, U.S. Deputy Ambassador Tammy Bruce warned that Russia's actions risk expanding and intensifying the conflict. Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi has called on South Korean President Lee Jae-myung to strengthen cooperation to ensure regional stability, highlighting the growing strategic importance of bilateral ties amid global uncertainty. Speaking in Nara, Takaichi stressed the increasingly severe security and diplomatic environment, while Lee warned of unprecedented volatility in the international order. Both leaders emphasized the need for close coordination as they face shared challenges, including North Korea's weapons development, Indo-Pacific geopolitical competition, and major power rivalries, building on recent efforts to stabilize historically strained Japan-South Korea relations. Now, Hawaii's Kilauea volcano, one of the world's most active, has erupted for the 40th time, sending fresh lava fountains into the air. Active since 1983, Kilauea, along with Mauna Loa, is one of 6 active volcanoes on the Hawaiian Islands. While its persistent activity offers valuable insights for volcanologists, it continues to pose risk to nearby communities. The eruption has drawn visitors with helicopter tours showcasing the glowing lava, though officials warn that conditions can change rapidly and urge everyone to follow safety guidelines and avoid restricted areas. Now, the Kuruova Beli Pass in Antalya, Turkey has been blanketed in snow, creating stunning winter scenery at 1,560 meters above sea level. The high areas of the Gombe Plateau, including Yumlu Tepe on Agdag and the surrounding pass, are now covered in white, offering postcard-perfect views. Mountains, forests, and winding roads are covered with snow, attracting locals and nature enthusiasts. Authorities say the winter landscapes highlight Khasa's natural beauty even during the colder months. We're going for a short breather here. Business news coming up next.
Gold and silver prices have risen sharply in Nepal's domestic market over the past 3 days. Gold was traded on Tuesday at around 276,500 rupees per tola, or roughly $1,920 per 11.66 grams, while silver stands at 5,340 rupees per tola, about $37. Both metals were traded at lower rates earlier this week before seeing a steady rise. Traders attribute to increased fluctuations in the US dollar and global economic uncertainty. China has declared it will protect its national interests after US President Donald Trump announced a 25% tariff on any country doing business with Iran. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Mao Ning reiterated that a tariff war produces no winners and Beijing will firmly safeguard its legitimate rights and interests. The move follows heightened tensions around trade and sanctions, underscoring China's stance against unilateral trade measures that it says could destabilize the global economic system. Central banks worldwide have voiced strong support for Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell after the U.S. Department of Justice launched a criminal investigation into him. Leaders from the Bank of England, the European Central Bank, and the Bank of Canada were among 11 senior officials issuing a statement that stressed the importance of central bank independence. They commended Powell's integrity and commitment to serving the public. The investigation relates to Powell's Senate testimony about renovations to Federal Reserve buildings. Signatories emphasized that safeguarding central bank independence is vital for price stability and economic confidence and should be upheld within the rule of law. Tourism professionals from eastern Nepal took part in the Bengal Tourism Mart held in Siliguri, India, an event aimed at promoting tourist destinations across 4 countries. The mart featured nearly 500 stalls with more than 50 tourism businesses from Nepal in attendance. A range of destinations from rural areas to internationally recognized sites were showcased to international buyers and industry stakeholders. Officials say the exposure is expected to support increased inbound tourism to Koshi province. The event also provided a platform for networking among travel agents, hotel operators, guides, transport service providers, government agencies, and international buyers, with organizers stating it will contribute to strengthening Eastern Nepal's presence on the regional tourism map. A Seoul restaurant has gone viral for allowing customers to cook and enjoy ramyeon, or Korean instant noodles, inspired by the global Netflix hit K-pop Demon Hunters. The concept draws fans of the film and food enthusiasts alike. Meanwhile, South Korea's instant noodle exports hit a record high, surpassing $1.5 billion in 2025, according to customs data. The figures reflect growing global demand for Korean food products, driven by both culinary interest and the influence of Korean pop culture.
Time for sports update. Nepal played out a 2-2 draw against Sri Lanka in its opening match of the SAF Women's Futsal Championship, which began today in Thailand. Nepal, aiming for a positive start, created chances for a comeback win but had to settle for a draw after failing to hold on in the closing moments. Despite conceding early, Nepal recovered to take a 2-1 lead by halftime. The tournament features Nepal alongside with Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Pakistan and Sri Lanka. The team with the highest points will be declared the champion. Organized for the first time by the South Asian Football Federation, the championship will run until January 26. Moving on, Nepal, which is set to compete in the ICC T20 World Cup, will play a practice series against Sri Lanka A. According to the Cricket Association of Nepal, CAN, the Nepali team will prepare for the World Cup in both India and Sri Lanka. As part of the preparation, Nepal will play a 3-match series against the Sri Lanka A team during its Sri Lanka tour, with matches scheduled for January 20, 22 and 24. Nepal will also play practice matches against Sri Lanka cricket development courts. Following this, the team will travel to India, where it will play a match against the Mumbai Cricket Association, MCA, President's 11 on January 29. Prior to that, the team will play a day-night practice match. The 20-team ICC T20 World Cup will be jointly hosted by India and Sri Lanka starting from February 7th. Moving on, 4 young female drivers have been selected for a new Formula One development program aimed at producing the sport's first female world champion. The initiative seeks to address the lack of women in top-level motorsport, with no female driver having competed in Formula One since 1976. The program would provide training, mentoring and competitive opportunities, marking a strategic effort to increase female representation as interest in the sport among women continues to grow. Time for weather update, first from Nepal and then from around the world. Before wrapping up, let's take a look into the headlines once again. Reports of General Secretaries unanimously endorsed at Nepali Congress Special General Convention. Election process for new leadership to move forward from tomorrow. 9 Nepali nationals from Salyan killed in a gas cylinder explosion in India. Deceased from 2 families from the same village. Thousands of young Nepalese turn to election police recruitment, take it as a short-term source of income while being part of the nation's democratic process. At least 770,000 children in Nepal still out of school due to the inability to reduce school dropout rates. US President Donald Trump urges Iranian anti-government protesters to keep protesting, adds help is on its way, suggesting a possible intervention. And National League football competition organized by ANFA to begin tomorrow. Opening match to see Kakri Bihar Youth Club face Friends Club. That is all for the moment. Do join us through our social media and visit us at www.nepaltelevision.com for more information and news. I am Ipulagi Singh Lama. Thank you for watching. Good night.